Welcome back to part two of our severe weather coverage on this Friday, July 8th, 2016. It's 9:18 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm James Brierton, and we had a brief power outage here in South Charlotte, the Pineville area, that took us offline for a few minutes. And be it the way it is on Google Hangouts and YouTube, it knocked us off the air, and I had to start a new link. So give us a moment. We're getting everything back up and running. You may have noticed or be able to hear in the background, I've got a ham radio going because for the few moments we were offline here, I have turned to the old-fashioned analog way of trying to get storm reports. But the man who has not yet lost internet, Kit in Belmont, Gaston County, just to the west of Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll hand things over to him while I try to get myself and my radar scope back up online.
Yeah, thanks, James. I'm going to go ahead and radar link that, or radar program that I have. Well, okay, I've got the other link pulled up on my computer, and I'm getting feedback from it. All right, I managed to get James to be quiet for a minute. So we can see, like over here, I've got the Raleigh radar pulled up. And we've got portions, large portions actually, of, and what is this? I don't want to save, I want to have this. Okay, sorry about that. My computer was executing a command I did not mean to give it. But here we've got portions of eastern North Carolina with a large severe thunderstorm warning covering many counties. Let's see if I can name these off real quick. I'm going to pause this, turn off all the city names so I can only name the counties. I've got Greene County, Pitt County, portions of southern Martin County, the majority of Beaufort County, and then Craven, Jones, Lenoir County, all but the southern portions of Craven and Jones are in this severe thunderstorm warning, as well as western portions of Pamlico County. This includes, oh, I just had a power flicker, that's interesting, but I am on my cell phone internet, so that is a good thing. We've got Greenville.
That's a smart thing, Kid. I may do the same thing here so that if we lose power again, it doesn't take the whole broadcast offline.
There you go. But we've got Greenville, which is where we've got, oh shoot, I said the name earlier, where the Pirates are, whatever college that is, Eastern North Carolina University, that's what it is. We have that, so they might be having some summer evening classes. Most evening classes are usually out by about 9 o'clock, so that might not be as much of an issue, but do keep those people in mind, and we will watch out for any damage reports in that region. Other places, we've got Washington, North Carolina, just about to get some heavy, heavy rain, as well as Bath, New Bern. Y'all will be seeing some thunderstorms move in just after the 9:30 mark, probably closer to 9:45. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until, or earlier it was until 10 o'clock, I believe. So most of these thunderstorms are moving around 40 miles an hour, we can see here, to the southeast. So we've got places like Dover and Vanceboro, which could be seeing some heavy rain here pretty soon. We can see leading these thunderstorms, let's see if I can advance it all the way to the end. We can see leading that there is this line of blue and even some green leading these thunderstorms. And that's, again, that outflow boundary. If you are outside before these storms, well, I have to tell you to go inside, but you'll still feel relatively calm winds right until this outflow boundary gets to you. Then those winds will start to pick up, and that'll be the indication that these thunderstorms are right on their way. I'm switching over to the Morehead City radar site because as they come in towards New Bern, it's getting farther and farther from the Raleigh National Weather Service radar site. We still have the one for Smithfield and Goldsboro and northern portions of Mount Olive. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. This goes until 10 o'clock p.m. And then I'm still not getting an exact date seen on here for this large polygon here, but again, we can see a lot of this down here, all of this blue, that's just ground clutter. That's not going to be a storm, and if we loop it, you can really see there's not much. So that's like all of the bugs, all of the mayflies that are flying around this evening. But once these storms move in, you will be able to see that, yes, it is rain that is showing up on the radar.
All right, I think I've got myself mostly back up and running and continuing to take in storm reports here across the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. Numerous trees are reported down. We have power out in certain areas of town, as to be expected. I would say the storm report that has really caught my attention most, and we talked about it just before we were knocked off air momentarily, and the Plaza Midwood section of town from about 30 minutes ago, a report that a tree or two has fallen onto a structure. No word on the extent of the property damage, no word yet on injuries, but that is the storm report that really catches my eye, Kit, because we're getting lots of reports of trees down. But this one and the one in Lincoln County with the siding coming off the side of a house there in Lincoln County about an hour or so ago are the two that top my list when it comes to first personal injury and second property damage.
Yes, and I see one up towards well, that's showing trees down across the south end of Rowan County. So we've got that, but again, like I'm also seeing the Plaza Midwood tree reports being down, as well as this is a report just north of the Charlotte Airport, showing scattered trees and utility lines down across northwest Charlotte. So around this region, between Charlotte and Paul Creek, if that's where the power lines are down, that might be where we have those power outages. I'm going to see if I can find a Duke Power or Duke Energy report.
It's actually coming up on everybody's screen right now.
All right, well, there you go.
Give me 1 second. I will screen share this to everyone. This is Duke Energy, of course, the primary power and electric provider for a large part of the Carolina. Let's start in Charlotte, and then let's actually make our way around the state because we have not just the Charlotte area being impacted tonight. But first, since I've had some problems early in the evening, Kit, can you confirm for me that you're seeing the Duke Energy map on your screen?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So Charlotte right now, this is as of just a few minutes ago, we had about nearly 9,000 Duke Energy customers without power. They are estimating that they've got about 50 different unique outages across the area, taking out power to about 9,000 people. The storms came through Gaston County right before that, took out power to about 6,300 customers. And of course, that same line as it came rolling over the mountains through the foothill, also impacting Iredell County, where we have 4,100. It's the yellow that's catching my eye right now. If you can see in the left-hand side of the screen, it's the yellow grouping that is over 1,000 customers. And so we have a lot of counties right now where we have several thousand Duke Energy customers without power. And it's not just in the Charlotte and the Greensboro and the Raleigh area, but also as we make our way towards Asheville. This is Wayneville, down towards Franklin. This is Macon County, and I believe this is Haywood County. We're seeing some power outages there. Not as many reports coming in South Carolina right now, but what I do want to pop up on everybody's screen is the latest image out of the upstate of South Carolina. They had a microburst roll through here earlier. We had reports of at least one tree down, but we are seeing a line right now that is making its way roughly just from the west of Gaffney through areas like Greer and Spartanburg and Greenville down towards Anderson and Clemson, and then back across the Georgia line. I'm looking at this kit and I'm thinking, okay, we have quite a line here. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning, but luckily the line is not continuous, and we kind of look like it's falling apart a little bit. Is that what you're seeing here as well?
Yes, I am. I'm going to try and pull up the Greenville-Spartanburg radar again. I've gone a little bit too far east for it to show up on here for me, but
yeah, and folks who might not be familiar with our setup here, we have 4 or 5 different radars from the National Weather Service we have to use in order to cover North Carolina because without going off too much of a tangent, there's not a centralized one. Back to you, Kit.
Oh, don't go back to me on that point. Oh, we'll be here all night again. But here I'm going to try and loop this. And that's also more of just a comment on the size of North Carolina. We're over 450 miles long from end to end, so there's no radar that can cover the entire state from one location. Anyway,
that is true. Charlotte would be nice, though.
Right. So we can see up here in Forest City some pretty significant rain. That could indicate some small hail. Yes, some small hail falling just south of Forest City. But all along this line we can see, and a heavy rain coming down. One thing we can't see, though, very well at least, is wind. So you see these greens up on the northwestern part of the radar and then down to the southeastern, we've got the reds going out. It's going from green to red, and as it passes over the radar site, it's moving perpendicular to some scan of the radar. So if you see this yellow line, let's just imagine that as like a scan to the northeast and a scan to the southwest. The wind is blowing perpendicular to this line, so the Greenville-Spartanburg radar site can't actually tell us how fast those winds are coming through. We can look at this this storm report here just to the north of the radar site, and we can see that trees were down across Hampton Road. So that's telling us that, yes, there are some very, very strong winds coming through. And if we look just right here, this is going to be a scan just above the ground, just around 80 or 90 feet. And we're seeing winds that are upwards of 20 to 30 miles an hour right next to the Greenville-Spartanburg airport. So that's more just a thing of get antivirus notifications here. That's more just the nature of the radar site, that we can't see how fast these winds are. So since it is still a part of a severe thunderstorm warning, it is advisable to still consider them severe and still take them as potentially damaging winds. I can see one just south of Pickens indicating 50 miles an hour, magnitude of 52 miles an hour south of Pickens, South Carolina, excuse me. So that came in a little while ago. I'm trying to see if there was a time. That was around 8:55 p.m. that report came in.
And Kit, I want to pass along a note that the Charlotte Fire Department is asking everyone to put out. They're currently experiencing a very high volume of 911 calls. They're asking folks in the Charlotte area, please reserve 911 for emergency calls only. Non-emergency calls may be directed to 311. So that means if you are in a situation right now where you have a non-life-threatening weather-related call that you need to notify the city of, this could be a down street light, this could be down tree, but it is not threatening anyone's lives. Right now, those calls go to 311. If we have injuries reported, if we have a life-threatening situation, those calls going to 911. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for the Raleigh area, and you can see the storms on your screen there coming out of Durham into the Raleigh area, and even down towards Dunn. You can see the outflow boundary there on your screen here from the latest Raleigh scan of the radar. And you'll notice that we have numerous things that are catching my eye here. We have the line of strong storms that just came through the greater Charlotte area. They're on the left-hand side of your screen, but we also have that outflow boundary that is pushing south from Dunn and parts of Goldsboro and even Greenville right now being slammed with some of these thunderstorms. So in the next few minutes, you can expect severe thunderstorm conditions in Fayetteville and the greater Fayetteville area, also including Fort Bragg. Matter of fact, you can even see there's one or two stray cells out ahead of that. It's 9:30, resetting here just very briefly. You're watching special live coverage on Google Hangouts on YouTube here from the Carolina Weather Group. We are tracking severe weather across a lot of our area tonight, where we have warnings that are active right now for parts of South Carolina and a large part of North Carolina. Many of our counties are under a severe thunderstorm watch, although some of the counties up in the higher foothills and the higher elevation along the Virginia line, we've seen that watch be canceled as some of these storms now push into other parts of the state. I'm James Brierton in the South Charlotte area of near Pineville. We have Kit, who is in Gaston County and Belmont, and I believe we'll have a check-in just momentarily from our friend Shay, who is along the coastline in South Carolina near Charleston.
Yes, Shay. I'm looking forward to seeing Shay pop in here in a little bit. I've got up on my screen a continuing thunderstorm warning for the Wadesboro area, well, really just south of Wadesboro. McFarland, it looks like, could be seeing some severe winds come through within the next few minutes. We've got heavy rain moving in, and radar not showing good winds on that storm. So this might be a hail issue, or it says 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail associated with this severe thunderstorm warning. So that is what we need to be looking for out in Anson and Richmond County. One of the things, this is moving towards Laurinburg within the next 15 to 20 minutes, I would say, and that is part of this large, newly issued severe thunderstorm warning for much of the region, spanning from Raleigh all the way down through Fayetteville and, like I said, down towards Laurinburg. I wouldn't be surprised if Lumberton and Elizabethton, if they got a severe thunderstorm warning later on in the evening, but we'll see how that goes. For right now, this one covers, let's see here, Harnett County, Moore County, Hoke County, Cumberland County, Scotland County, and Lee County. Those all go until 10:45, so that is for this line of storms that we can see coming through Albemarle and Troy, headed towards Carthage and Pittsburgh right now. This line of thunderstorms is what this very large severe thunderstorm warning is for. And again, it probably won't get through the full Fayetteville area until 10:30 to 10:45 p.m. But they just wanted to go ahead and get that warning out, get everyone aware so that everyone has time to take shelter if the need does arise.
And I'm sure what they're also looking at, Kit, and we've talked about it, is that outflow boundary that we were seeing on your screen. We can see it on mine here as well. It's the line that's going to be right in here. We're working on the radar scan animation now, and as I drop my line out, you can see that faint line. This is kind of the leading edge of wind that these storms are putting out ahead of it. And folks, one of the things we haven't even touched on tonight, because we've had so many warnings, is kind of just the chemistry of what creates a severe thunderstorm. And one of the key ingredients here is a thing that we have all been dealing with for several days now, and that's the heat. So I'm sure, Kit, and I'm sure you're looking at this as well, it's a very large severe thunderstorm warning box that, like you said, is kind of out into an area right now, Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, where those folks might be going, hey, it's not really raining here, but that's because we've got this outflow coming in. It's been very warm today with heat index climbing into the upper 90s, lower triple digits, and I wouldn't be surprised that once that outflow boundary comes through that area, we'll begin to see more storms popping. This is a great time to introduce our friend Shay Gibson, who's in Charleston, South Carolina, who is an expert on things just like this. And what are you looking at here, Shay? You seeing this outflow boundary?
Yeah, I'm just kind of hopping into the game here. Yeah, the outflow boundary, let's see. What's on the screen right now, I've got my GRE running right now. I'm waiting for the level 2 to start up here. But it looks like with storms approaching from the west and that boundary coming down from the south, we could have some collisions over the Fayetteville and Clinton area here in a little while. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, I was looking over this pattern earlier, and we're, this whole southeast region is pretty much under this giant heat dome. The northeast Gulf of Mexico high pressure has built, so we have that westerly zonal flow cutting across and undulating, sort of an undulating prefrontal build here for the night, and these nocturnal storms are really firing off. So I was checking it out here on GRE, and I tell you what, it's pretty much got the entire state of North Carolina from the mountains all the way almost to the coastline.
Right, and one of the things that I was looking at earlier was how impressive this the severe thunderstorm warning out towards the far east, headed in towards New Bern now. I think I said earlier, just before 9:45, it should be reaching y'all. But we've got this long outflow boundary that is just sort of marching, and we can connect it up into Vanceboro, up towards Bath. The outflow boundary is kind of moving, just building right off of that. And it's connected all the way back to these storms out towards Richmond County, and I don't have it loaded, but I wouldn't be surprised if it continues through Chester, Union County, in South Carolina.
Perfect transition there. Thank you very much, Kit. Talking about you.
And I see here.
Go ahead, Kit.
I was just going to say, down here in South Carolina, we have for Marlborough County a new severe thunderstorm warning for that area, and that's for the one that's coming out of Chesterfield, South Carolina, and up here in Anson County, North Carolina. And I'll throw it back to you, James, because my laptop is starting to yell at me because the battery's getting low.
All right, we'll give you a second to collect your things there. Running off of battery power is a good transition to tell you that Duke Energy now estimating 30,000 Duke Energy customers without power in Charlotte. That number just climbing now. That's the highest of any county currently in the Duke Energy areas in North and South Carolina. 911 in Charlotte is being overwhelmed with calls right now. They're asking everyone with non-emergency calls that need to be reported to government municipalities to call 311. Leave 911 open for emergency calls only, although we are getting word right now from emergency officials that while they have no life-threatening injuries reported from the storm right now, Medic, the metro area ambulance response, first responders telling us they have treated several people for non-life-threatening injuries related to the storm. But good news is we're not hearing any serious injuries right now. We did have a report down of a tree that fell on a home in the Plaza Midwood area of Charlotte not too long ago. I'm going to go ahead and widen out my radar scope for just a moment. We were showing you just a moment ago on Kit's screen. We do have the one severe thunderstorm warning right now that does include Bennettsville in South Carolina. This is the county. And maybe our friend Shay could tell me even better than I could here faster which county this is for here, but this is being issued by the National Weather Service office in Wilmington. This is Marlborough County. This is actually the only warning right now in South Carolina. The only warning in South Carolina right now because the storms in the upstate near Greenville, Anderson, Spartanburg, and Greer no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning. They were not too long ago. We even had a microburst signature on radar near Greer. We did get reports of trees down, but right now we only have one warning in the South Carolina area, and it's really a part of this greater complex that's impacting folks right now from just outside the Charlotte area, just outside the Greensboro area, still actively in Raleigh, coming into Fayetteville, and even have a line of storms kind of coming right now out of Greenville and over New Bern. So we're going to be watching not only for more reports of hail and wind damage, but also if you're traveling this evening, please allow for extra time. We have several major interstates in this area, Interstate 85, even portions of the Interstate 95 corridor that will be experiencing heavy rain, possibly damaging winds and hail and low visibility. But we still do have several severe thunderstorm warnings up right now, and we are continuing to get reports in from across the state of thunderstorm wind damage. And the latest coming in right now from City Emergency Management in Concord. This is Cabarrus County, just to the northeast of Charlotte, reporting a total of 15 trees are down in the city, including one that is on a home. No reports of the extent of the property damage or any injuries. Numerous power outages stretch from Concord to Mount Pleasant, and as I told you just a moment ago, some 30,000 Duke Energy customers without power. Shay, if you could, you spend a lot of time, I know, on the beach watching these outflow boundaries. You're a great expert for us when it comes to winds, and we were talking a few moments ago, and I'm actually going to pop up on Kit's screen for everybody for you to kind of talk over. You were watching for some collision of storms here because we kind of do have two different areas of storms that could kind of meet in this Fayetteville area.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you have sort of a meandering. It's kind of hard to see on this one, but I was looking at through RadarScope Pro. Actually, it does pretty well with precip derivatives there. But the outflow boundaries could pop ahead of the storms to the east. The ones that just opened up from Marlborough County across Chesterfield and over into Bennettsville area of South Carolina. So that's the area of concern. Is another boundary to pop there, and then these two collide and create a large area of energy over pretty much that whole southeastern North Carolina area towards Wilmington. So I would expect that a lot of these thunderstorm watches are going to start opening up all the way to the coastline, and some of the severe warnings may start opening up as well. But I was seeing from Marlborough County they're calling.
And as you said,
winds. I'm sorry.
And as you said that, Shay, right as those, as you were saying, the severe thunderstorm warnings could continue onto the coast. The storm system that is heading towards New Bern right now, it has been continued all the way out towards Morehead City for the counties of Duplin County, Lenoir County, Pamlico, Onslow, Carteret, Craven, Jones, and Western Mainland Hyde County.
Right. Okay.
All of those have now been issued a severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30.
That makes total sense because
sorry, 10:45.
We still have a.
All right, so continue.
we still have a sea breeze going on the coastline. So we have nocturnal jetting that's carried through from the evening time. So we still have a southwest flow at the coast with that sea breeze front. Usually they pop about this time, but we still had 97 degrees in Charleston at 8 o'clock p.m. So the temperatures are still very warm. We haven't quite gotten into the nocturnal phase with during the inversion yet. So I would imagine that those outflow boundaries, there could be some collision along the coastline. If there's any remnants of sea breeze front activity, usually those fizzle out when the sun goes down. But when you have a nocturnal jet like that, you could get some increased energy along the coastline along with those storms. Looking over the area, I just saw, I'm trying to find some of the wind readings here near those storms from Marlborough County. You have to forgive me, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty with my mouse right now, but I was seeing some pretty high winds. I may have to come back. Go ahead, James, and pick it up. I'm going to try to find some high wind readings and get back to you here and share screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually what I'm going to pop up on your screen for you right now, this is some video that our friend Scotty Powell shot in the high country of North Carolina earlier today. This is Boone, and take a look at the damage that the severe thunderstorms caused there. This is several hours ago, but you can see we do have what appears to be lots of wood on the ground. I don't want to speculate too much on what we're looking at here, although it does look like 2x4s that may have been established for some sort of structure in the pattern that they are, because I'm seeing some drywall, I'm seeing some 2x4s kind of nailed together in such a grid that this could have been a wall or a roof of some sort here in Boone several hours ago. So this is the strength of the storms we were talking about, folks, and that's why we're with you here on air and online tonight as we're watching lots of severe storms that are rolling through the area. And it's not only impacting areas like Boone in the high country, but also stretching across multiple of our metropolitan areas. Charlotte, Greensboro, source storms not too long ago. We have some new warnings in the Charlotte area we'll show you in just a second. But like Shay was just talking about, we're also now seeing it into areas like Fayetteville, North Carolina. Kit, I don't know if you had a chance to check in with your parents at all, but the Charlotte Knights game in Uptown Charlotte still remains in a rain delay. Here's a photo they tweeted out not too long ago showing that intense lightning as that storm came through Uptown. And we could be seeing another storm coming through that area in the next few minutes, because the National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, has issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for areas to the west of Charlotte. I'm pulling this up on your screen right now. Bear with me just a moment. But this includes the area of Shelby. This is going to be Cleveland County, Gaston County, just off to your west there, Kit.
And also just the very slight edge of Rutherford County to include everyone there. But one thing I've got up here, can y'all see this picture that I've got up?
Is this also from the Charlotte Knights game?
Yeah, this is one that my dad emailed to me just about half an hour ago of lightning that was in Uptown, and he was at the Charlotte Knights game. You can see they've got the tarp out there, but the main focus is this huge streak of lightning just arcing across the sky there. He sent me a couple others. I've got this one here. It's a little bit out of focus, but that is definitely a cloud-to-ground lightning strike. So this is why we always emphasize whenever you are outdoors at one of these big events, try to find a place under an awning. If you can, find a place inside if at all possible, because these storms and these outdoor events, here we see another one. He actually got a little bit of the return stroke, which is the brightest and most intense part of the lightning strike, as well as some of the stepped leaders up top of the picture there. But I'm going to switch over to radar here. I think James was also trying to pull up for parts of southern Cleveland County and western Gaston County with this severe thunderstorm warning here.
We also, oh, go ahead, Shay.
Heads up, let's see. So far, I'm just kind of picking through some of the weather stations. There aren't a lot of great weather stations across the inland and upstate areas, but Charlotte, North Carolina, picked up a wind gust of 50 miles an hour at 8:39 p.m. tonight. So If we're seeing 50-mile-an-hour gusts, that means we could easily be seeing 60 or even a little bit higher than that, since most of these areas are land shadowed with some of these outflows and outflow gusts. See, just west of Charlotte, we had 36. Greenville, South Carolina, just off of their gust front, picked up about 36 miles an hour. So we're seeing some 30s and 40s out there, one close to 50, or just over 50 in Charlotte, North Carolina. But the data is kind of sparse for that area. So I'm kind of doing the best I can, trying to pick through and find where some of the higher bursts were. Matthews, North Carolina, picking up 34 miles an hour at 8:53, and I'm sure that once these storms kind of get closer to the coastline, where our mesonet picks it up, it's much more saturated in data. We'll find out just how powerful some of these gust fronts were as far as they were inland, because typically you find that the outflows from these storms are generally the same. When they hit the coastline, they don't really change very much. In fact, they may accelerate a little bit of speed once they get offshore, but you find that the gust fronts and the outflows approaching the coastline are pretty consistent with what you find inland as well. So sometimes that's a good way to find out what happened just at the mid-state level.
Shay checking out some of those weather station reports across the Charlotte area, mentioning his company's network of mesonets along the coast of South Carolina that certainly will be recording some of these storms as they get a little bit closer. We have just tweeted out a picture of a tree down Sharon Amity here in Charlotte. Power lines also down. So the person, our friend Mark, who took that picture, telling us he can't really get close enough because there are power lines down, which is great. And that's something to keep in mind, folks, that if you're heading out the door here in the next few minutes, Charlotte right now, reporting nearly 30,000 Duke Energy customers without power. Duke Energy is telling us they have 256 outages across the Mecklenburg County area that is affecting some 30,000 residents. So if you are heading out in the next few minutes, be very careful. We got numerous reports of trees down and power lines, and we have another severe thunderstorm warning just off to your west that, if this storm holds together, will be impacting parts of the Charlotte uptown area once again in the next few minutes. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. I know we were talking very heavily about the Charlotte area. It's where Kit and I are most closely located. Shay himself in Charleston, South Carolina, but right now it is where we are getting some of the most significant storm reports in. Although we are continuing to watch, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that do stretch from the Charlotte area through Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, up towards the Raleigh area. Although at the moment it does seem like Raleigh is still under a warning for the next 38 minutes or so, but Durham, just a little bit further north right there, no storms currently under any sort of warning right there. And like our guys were talking about just a few minutes ago, we have a very large severe thunderstorm warning active for the next hour or so that does include now parts of the coast of North Carolina, New Bern, and Jacksonville, and Goldsboro, and it's stretching from the coast across Interstate 95 and as you make your way back towards the central part of the state. So we'll keep a close eye on this. And in addition to the hail and the wind, we are also watching very, very heavy rain. We do have, I'm sorry, I was going to tell you we had a flood advisory. It's still up on my map, although it has been canceled. So I'll skip over that and check in with Kit to see what he's keeping an eye on at this hour.
Well, one thing, like we've been saying a good bit of the evening, is these outflow boundaries, all these blue lines on my screen here, that could spawn off new thunderstorms, and we're seeing that right now in Chester
you see
County.
there goes that one from the west. That's right, yeah.
Right
so
there in Richburg County, or not Richburg, the city of Richburg, you see that thunderstorm that pops up right along this, on the western.
Is it Interstate 77 I'm looking at?
Yes, so this is right straddling Interstate 77 right here. I can't call it up, but it's just south of South Carolina Highway 9 and just north of 97.
Yeah, this is going to be Chester County. This is going to be eastern Chester County, and the next few minutes will impact portions of western Lancaster County.
Right. Go back to the west. You'll see that outflow boundary is already starting to pop there, just ahead of that. So and you have the outflow boundary to the north, just south of Lockhart and draping across Chester. Then you have the new outflow boundary popping from the west, where those two converge. That's why I was thinking that Fayetteville area might be firing off here in a little while. But if you look over the coastline, one thing that's interesting is that outcrop of storms that was heading more in a westerly direction is now heading in kind of a south-southwest direction.
What's one reason you think, Shay, that we might be seeing that change in direction?
That's a tough call. I think it really has to do a lot with maybe some prefrontal forcing ahead of that front. There could be a northerly element aloft that is driving those storms to the south. So we'd have to look at a QT for that area to find out what the upper atmosphere is doing. But that's my general perspective, is that there might be a little bit of a northerly jet, maybe a northwesterly jet that's driving those down from the south. I think you can see that better on, I don't know if you have GRE up and running.
I don't have GRE up and running on my computer, no.
Okay, I'll share a screen.
I try to keep just one radar analyst open at a time, because otherwise both of them will run too slow.
So guys, we do.
I could pull up.
I have a mesoscale discussion I can share with you while we are. If Kit, actually, if you could keep what we're currently looking up on the screen, that would be fantastic, because we have a new discussion. This is new analysis coming in from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, where they are keeping a close eye on the squall line we were just talking about, but not only for portions of North Carolina, but also portions of South Carolina just across the border here, kind of stretching from Columbia back down towards the coast. And what they're keeping an eye on is exactly what we're looking at here. We've got a squall line and we've got an outflow boundary. So they're telling us that they're watching this broken squall line, which has been prompting strong thunderstorm gusts, potentially resulting in isolated wind damage. We're seeing some reports of that already. Isolated gusts ranging from 45 to 60 miles per hour are expected with these storms as they continue to move both to the south and to the east. And this threat will probably become increasingly localized by the late evening. What does that mean? That means that we've got a big line of storms right now. It's been in a very big organized line. The line itself may begin to break up a little bit, but it doesn't mean that we're all out of the woods just yet, because we'll begin to still see some really heavy storms across the area. And we're looking right now on radar at 3 distinct line segments as a part of the greater convective complex of storms that is moving across the Carolinas right now. And so we're going to continue to keep an eye on this, and of course that boundary layer as things begin to cool off behind these storms as well. But man, the amount of heat, Shay, that these storms have to work with, if it was as hot as it was in Charlotte today, if not hotter, I mean, you tell us, you know better than we do in Charleston, and maybe what they were seeing along the coast into Myrtle Beach. I imagine it was also very hot there today.
Yeah, we hit triple digits. Our heat indexes soared into the 100 teens. So we had 110 to 115 degrees just inland of the coastline. The sea breeze didn't kick in until about mid to late afternoon, so there wasn't any cooling along the immediate coast. We had westerly winds. That tends to heat things up even more. So we hit 100 in Charleston for the first time since June 21st of 2011. So it is baking hot, and it does not look like it's going to break anytime soon. There's a lot of heat still trapped along the coastline right now for these storms to work with. I think as they approach, you'll see the inversion happen behind them, where that heat will rise. But I tell you, there's a lot of energy in the air ahead of these storms, and you can see how fast they're progressing towards North Carolina coast right now, especially towards Boone and the Outer Banks, southeast North Carolina area. It's advancing very quickly in that area.
We do have a reissuance of the severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Cleveland County and Gaston County until about 10:30. I think what they really did there was take all the back end of this warning off of Rutherford County now, as we're beginning to watch the storm move into the Shelby area. This is a smaller area compared to some of those other warnings we were looking at right there, but of course it's catching our attention because Charlotte, North Carolina right now, one of the hardest hit areas as these storms came through. We're beginning to get some reports in of storms across the area, across Charlotte, as another storm comes rolling through. And we showed you that video just a few minutes ago. It's not just down here in the lower elevations, it's also up in the high country, where hours ago these storms came rolling across the Tennessee region into the high country of North Carolina and left us with some damage there. We're about 2 minutes out. At the top of the hour, I'm going to kind of reset the scene for everybody, but before I do that, we'll see if Kit has any new information as he begins to see a severe thunderstorm warning kind of coming in from his west.
It helps when I'm unmuted. Here, I got this finally popped up. The loading on this program is not necessarily the fastest, but we can still see that these thunderstorms, this whole line really continuing through the upstate of South Carolina. I mean, I can't help but be fascinated by the whole structure of the system continuing all the way down into North Georgia with this just arcing a line of thunderstorms. But this is probably what they're talking about when they say the squall line, the broken squall line in that mesoscale discussion. We could see a few more independent thunderstorms grow into much larger than what we're seeing here active right now, and potentially more severe thunderstorms as we go into the Columbia National Weather Service office coverage region. So places like Newberry, Winsboro, Columbia, Camden, all and out towards the coast could still see some severe thunderstorm warnings as we go over into the night. As we can see here in Chester County, we did have that small thunderstorm pop up. I think we had some rain down there earlier today or this evening that sort of killed off most of the production for that thunderstorm. But all of the Midlands of South Carolina, we haven't seen hardly any rain today. So the atmosphere is potentially pretty primed to just really set off these thunderstorms. And once they get going, they could go severe. And like I said, we have this line of thunderstorms in the upstate, which has already started going. So we have that outflow boundary, which is going to just keep feeding those thunderstorms into the late hours of this evening.
Looks like there's some convergence on Union right now, actually. You can see the two outflow boundaries converging on Union. There's a cell popping right there.
And I'm actually counting 3 lines here. We can see sort of how it converges, and it sort of does like an octagon-sided convergence of what looks like 3 outflow boundaries. One from the one that we had so like you can see here this downburst wind report. That outflow boundary is coming from the Greenville-Spartanburg all the way to a place along U.S. Highway 176 between Spartanburg and Pacolet. We've got that outflow boundary, then the one from the ones earlier that came through Gaston County, and then from the squall line that's coming out of the upstate of Carolina. Of course, I will mention that these 2 yellow lines you see here of severe thunderstorm warnings, those are both canceled, and I'll bring it up to a current image. And we can see, like Shay said, we have that thunderstorm that's popping off of those converging outflow boundaries over Union City. I can pull out to a larger view, and we've got still Lancaster has a severe thunderstorm warning in it. Down here in other parts of South Carolina, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for Lancaster, Churraw, Pageland, Kershaw, Chesterfield, and Elgin counties in South Carolina. Those still have a severe thunderstorm warning.
And Kit, I'm going to go ahead and pop up a wide view here up on everybody's screen just past the 10 o'clock Eastern hour. You're watching special live coverage from the Carolina Weather Group as we are watching a severe weather outbreak across the Carolinas right now. You're looking at the latest radar mosaic. You can see those storms punching their way across North Carolina right now, stretching from the coast back in towards areas like Raleigh and Fayetteville. We have a gap right now in the Charlotte area. We have more storms making their way across the high upstate of South Carolina, and all of that area right now is experiencing numerous reports of wind damage, trees down, wires down. This is the latest reports compiled by the National Weather Service. Although you're seeing a big white space right here in parts of North Carolina, we do have reports there. This image has just not updated yet. You can see the path of those storms as they came on through. We do have a slight risk of severe weather. This is the latest image just reissued by the Storm Prediction Center. We did have across Charlotte and to the north and to the west into the high country a enhanced risk for severe weather, a 3 out of 5. They've dropped that down, not because it didn't happen or wasn't going to happen, but we had that main line come through. It did happen. We saw the storm reports and the images from the high country of structural damage and numerous trees down, but we all now remain under a slight risk, or 2 out of 5 on the scale, for more severe weather, because not only we're continuing to track those storms right now, but we do have some more rain back across Tennessee that could impact parts of the Piedmont as we go through the next few hours. As Kit was just mentioning, we do have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings out right now. This is in the orange. That pink you're seeing is a shrinking severe thunderstorm watch area. As these storms come through, they use up some of that fuel, some of that heat in the atmosphere. The chances of seeing more storms does decrease, with some exceptions. We're continuing to watch an area of South Carolina for further storm development, in addition to what we're seeing right now in North Carolina. Although as you make your way in northern portions of North Carolina, it's quiet for the time being. We do have a new severe thunderstorm watch box out right now for portions of Tennessee as they continue to watch some of those storms come through. And guys, we are getting, in addition to all of these individual reports of trees down and wires down, they're all compiling together to make one giant area of power outages. You're looking at the Duke Energy power outage map right now, the primary provider of electricity across a large part of the Carolinas. The county in red, Mecklenburg County, right now reporting the most outages out of anybody in the state. Nearly 40,000 Duke Energy customers now without power across Mecklenburg, with another severe.
Wow.
40,000 Duke Energy customers. They total number of customers served by Duke Energy is over 400,000 in the Mecklenburg area. 40,000 of them right now without power. If somebody wants to do the math to figure out the percentage, you're more than welcome to. But I will.
That's right at around 35 to 40%, because there is just over 1 million people living in Mecklenburg County. So with that's right around 40% of Mecklenburg County is without power this evening.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things to keep in mind here is we might have just over 1 million people, but you have several people in a single structure, which all count as one customer. So Duke Energy is counting these as customers. So 40,000 customers, presumably 40,000 individual houses and businesses without power right now, with probably numerous people inside each one of those. Yeah, the numbers get a little tricky, but you're right. It's more people than it seems, or most likely without power right now, because you probably do have numerous individuals inside these 40,000 different customer locations. But the yellow on your screen.
Go back over there real quick, and I am doing the math for the percentage.
Math. I wonder if I click on it, if it'll do the math for us. But the question is, what percentage is 40,000 of 436,000?
I did it wrong. Give me one more second.
Okay. Let me show you some of these other areas right now in yellow, reporting over 1,000 customers, somewhere between 1,000 and 20,000 customers, including Gaston County, where 11,000 Duke Energy customers right now are without power. But we're also seeing it across portions like Iredell and up into the Greensboro area. Actually, surprisingly, Greensboro itself, that county, Guilford County, only 1,000 relative to what we're seeing elsewhere. Only 1,000 customers without power there, and even in Raleigh, Wake County, less than 1,000, 848. So we're talking a lot about Charlotte tonight, because that does seem to be where we're seeing the largest impact on individuals at this hour. We had a report of a tree down on a home in Plaza Midwood not too long ago. This is just on the east side of uptown Charlotte. We have not received any reports of serious injury, and I do think it's because no one was seriously injured there, because we were told by local authorities they have treated numerous individuals for non-life-threatening injuries in Charlotte, but no reports right now of any serious structural damage, although we did have that one tree down on the home, and no reports of any serious injury. But we are told that the 911 system in Mecklenburg County receiving a high volume of calls right now, and they're reminding folks 911 is for emergencies only, life-threatening emergencies only. All other calls can go to 311 if you need to get in contact with the city municipality for a non-life-threatening storm-related call at this hour. Those go to 311.
Well, James, Kit, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to bail out here, but keep an eye on the coastal North Carolina storms that are approaching that area right now. It looks like they're blowing up a little bit. Particularly look for a little bit of rotation for water spouting in those areas. I'll keep an eye on some of the sensors the rest of the night. If anything major comes up, I'll shoot it to you guys. But highest thing I'm seeing right now is in Boone, which is next to Oriental, about 46 miles an hour. 46 mile an hour gust of wind, and that was at, make sure I get the exact right time. Well, I'm sorry, 56 miles an hour at 9:55 p.m. So we have a gust there, and that's at New Bern, 56 miles an hour, 9:55 p.m. So we are definitely seeing 50 to 60 mile an hour winds along the gust front from that system that is approaching the Cedar Island and Ocracoke to Emerald Isle locales right now as we speak. That's kind of a hot spot for waterspouts and rotations, especially with southwest winds right now are still going at about 20 to 23 knots. So we have a strong northwesterly gust front moving down over a southwest 20-knot wind, and you can kind of get an idea of what could occur there with that kind of meeting of outflow boundary or gust front meeting that direction of wind. We've seen that here before, and it's spawned waterspouts before, so keep an eye on that area.
Definitely, we will be keeping an eye out towards the coast of North Carolina as these storms move off and we see those outflow boundaries start to converge with the sea breeze fronts that might still be sitting just off the coast right now.
Shay, thank you very much for your time. We do have an extension, I believe, of the severe thunderstorm watch. That does include portions of southern North Carolina and a bit there of northern South Carolina. This is just outside the Florence area. This is kind of where they're watching some of the storms come together. New image just in from David Centendry at WJCY here in Charlotte. This is a tree down Vanderbilt Road in Charlotte. Oh, wow. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this, and it's lit very well here. So this photo really driving the point that we have numerous trees down across the state, not just in the Charlotte area. But you can see this photo from David Centendry there at Fox 46 showing that tree down. Good news for Charlotte, Kit. It looks like that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Cleveland and Gaston County has been canceled.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but you stole my thunder.
I'm so sorry. I'll pop it up on the screen, though, so we can all look at it here. We had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for right in here just over the last few minutes, and you can see that storm has really begun to fall apart. And so that's good news. Right now, to the west of Charlotte in the Carolinas, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings, but we do still have quite a line of severe thunderstorm warnings. And as I switch over to our Raleigh radar to get you a better picture, matter of fact, I'm going to measure this real fast. From one edge of one warning to the edge of the other warning, we have about 280-mile wide severe thunderstorm warnings, if we were to combine all the individual warnings together, of severe storms right now that are impacting several areas from New Bern back into Goldsboro and Fayetteville and even into some counties like Anson and Richmond. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this, and this is exactly where that new severe thunderstorm warning, these counties right in here were added, and all of these counties remain under a severe thunderstorm watch, excuse me, for the next little bit as these storms come on through.
Right, and I'm trying to pull up different radar software, all thanks to Gibson Ridge, but I'm pulling up WSV3 real quick because just this version of Gibson Ridge that I have does not show the watch boxes, and I think my parents have just gotten home from the game. I'm not sure if the baseball game was canceled or if it was just resumed and they decided to head on out due to timing.
I could check on that for a moment. I do know the ground stop.
It looks like.
Go ahead.
It looks like we do still have, like James was just saying, we've got that new watch out for southern, sort of the southern corner of North Carolina out towards the Wilmington area. Let's see here. I'm going to close this out here, pop over here, see if I can share the other thing. Share. There we go. Are y'all seeing that now?
Yes, we do.
All right, awesome. All right, so over here, I'm not sure if I've got my severe thunderstorm warning boxes turned on. I'll turn that off. Just a few things I need to get set up in here
We are
because
seeing the watch boxes, though, and that's what people are seeing on their screen right now, outlined in red. Those are the severe thunderstorm watch boxes.
right. So you're sort of seeing a double representation of the watch boxes. First, we're seeing these thin red lines, which create just these four-sided polygons. That's what the general severe severe thunderstorm watch out is for, just the general box. But then it's up to the local National Weather Service offices to continue that and to issue the watch for specific regions. And that's going to be the thick red line with the black border around that. I'm also trying to figure out why I don't have severe thunderstorm warnings bordered out there anywhere on my screen. Cat's running around.
Well, Kit, I'm going to give you a second to get situated with that. Matter of fact, if you actually have a way to pull up some storm reports, I think it might be nice to go across different portions of the state and see where some of the damage was reported. But I want to show this video again that our friend Scotty shared. This is Boone earlier in the day. Extensive damage to a structure here. You're looking at wood and you're looking at some sheetrock and some insulation. This is Boone up in the mountains of North Carolina near the border with Tennessee. We don't know exactly what it is we were looking in here, but the reason I wanted to show this video to you again is for two reasons. One, we're talking a lot about what's happening in the Charlotte area right now, but we don't have any reports of any serious injuries in the Charlotte area, just a handful of minor injuries in the Charlotte area. But we did just get a report in from the National Weather Service, Watauga County and Boone, being told that approximately 3 people were injured today and extensive damage reported across the county of Watauga, which does include Boone, as the storms rolled through there about 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight. They're being told that several injuries have been reported. The exact number not yet known, as they're still working to compile storm-related injuries. But showing you this video one more time to show you the strength of the storms that came across the North Carolina high country. And now this is the same line of storms that we're continuing to track across other areas. So I would say, based on what we are reading from preliminary storm reports from the National Weather Service, people on social media, and elsewise, this is some of the more extensive damage we've seen. We've seen a handful of trees reported down, including one on a home in Charlotte, also siding ripped off a home in Lincoln County, North Carolina from wind. But this right here, and although I don't have the details on what it is exactly that we're looking at, this is some of the most extensive storm damage that I've seen compiled from the preliminary storm reports. Kit, are you in a situation right now where you can show us on your screen some of these preliminary storm reports we're getting in from the National Weather Service?
Yes, I am, and I'll just sort of start out in the western portion of the county, or of the Carolinas. I keep on calling the Carolinas counties, but we can see numerous power lines down way out here in Oconee County. We've also got a magnitude of 52-mile-an-hour winds just to the west of Greenville. Tree down in McCarson Road in Riverville Falls. Up here, northwest of Cleveland, South Carolina. Over in Spartanburg County, we've got, that's where we had that downburst. We have trees down across Hampton Road, again in Spartanburg County. Moving on to Gaston County, we've got a storm report of several trees down in Gastonia. A hail report, this is to the northeast of Stanley, probably south of Lowesville, Lincoln County, yeah. Hail about the size of an inch across. I'm not seeing any storm reports up towards Boone, but I know up in Ashe County, where my grandparents live, they said that they had some.
Do you have the Roanoke Blackburg office on? Those are probably where those reports would be coming from, if they are in fact being filed into the system by individual offices.
I am not sure if they're being filed in or not by individual offices.
Okay. Let me take a look
That's
here.
just sort of the area that I've got here.
Yeah, I can fill you in here real fast on what I'm seeing on National Weather Service chat, the internal chat that the National Weather Service uses to talk to emergency management and media. We do have, again, numerous reports of trees down across Watauga and Wilkes County, and just kind of surveying them real fast. We had a wind gust of 63 miles per hour at the automatic computer system there in Watauga County that the National Weather Service uses to record the weather at the airport, and multiple trees reported down, blocking some roads, especially in some of the more rural areas as storms kind of came on through there. But Kit, I know you are seeing some storm reports in other parts of the state as well.
Yeah, so I've got one out here to the west of Greensboro, a tree down at South Bunker Hill Road and Hawkins Terrace, I believe was TR. I think this would be outside of Winston-Salem. We've got several trees down in the area of Middlebrook Drive and Idols Road. That's just in southern Forsyth County. We've got in Davidson County a tree down on I-85 near mile marker 93. And if this is still on the road, if Highway Patrol has not cleared it yet, be careful. Even though there aren't any storms out, this one was down on I-85, again towards mile marker 93, just outside of Lexington, North Carolina. Out towards Asheboro, we've got one in Randolph County, reports at least 12 to 15 reports of downed trees all across this county over here. This is Randolph County. A little more recently, we've got storm reports in Moore County, west of Pinehurst. We've got a tree down on Lake Forest Drive, blocking both lanes. We've got trees down again in Pinehurst. We have a wind report of 59 miles per hour in far eastern Richmond County. That's an AWAS station, so that's basically a local airport station has recorded 59 mile per hour winds as these storms have gone through. I'm going to pan out a little bit more, see if we can get some more. Here's one in Raleigh, or outside of Raleigh, excuse me. This is Johnson County 911 reports several trees down along the road of Highway 42 east of Clayton, North Carolina. Over here in Fremont, we have some police officers reporting trees down in that area, as well as north of Goldsboro, we have hail at least the size of a quarter inch. Not a quarter inch, the size of a quarter coin on I-795. That's again north of Goldsboro, North Carolina. I will say about WSV3, it is not the best at scrolling in and out. In New Bern, we have an ASOS gust of 58 miles per hour. That is an observed wind, not estimated. So we could have winds all around the state much higher than that. And then once...
Oh, go ahead, Kit.
Go ahead.
No,
okay.
I was yeah, I'll let you finish.
We've got a structure damage on River Road up in Vanceboro in Craven County. And that's pretty much all across the state, so I'll just call it quits from there.
Thank you very much for that, Kid. So yeah, we're getting reports of lots of trees down across the area. Here's a look, kind of the wider area right now where the severe thunderstorm warnings are active. We talked a few minutes ago about where the watches are and aren't. The National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, allowing the severe thunderstorm watch to be canceled for Greenville, Oconee, Pickens, and Spartanburg in South Carolina. In North Carolina, Cleveland, Gaston, Henderson, Lincoln, Polk, Rutherford, and Transylvania are all clear. And in Georgia, Habersham, Rabun, and Stevens County, the severe thunderstorm watch has been canceled there. They are deciding to leave active right now the severe thunderstorm watch in South Carolina for Abbeville, Anderson, Cherokee, Chester, Greenwood, Lawrence, Union, and York, and in North Carolina, Cabarrus, Mecklenburg, which includes Charlotte, and Union. In Georgia, Elbert, Franklin, and Hart. The severe thunderstorm watch continues there until at least midnight or until they decide to cancel it otherwise. A quick reminder, a watch means that severe thunderstorm conditions are possible. A severe thunderstorm warning meaning that the severe thunderstorm conditions are actively happening or are expected to begin shortly. What is the severe thunderstorm warning conditions? That's going to be 60 mile per hour damaging winds or quarter size hail is likely with those storms, and those right now are up on your screen in the boxes in yellow. If you're in any of those areas, that's where the severe thunderstorm warnings are. We have also received word from the Charlotte Douglas International Airport that the FAA has lifted the ground stop. Why was there a ground stop? Well, look at your screens right now. Look at that bolt of lightning there taken and shared on Twitter by the Charlotte Douglas International Airport. They had to pull in all of their grounds crews for quite some time. I'm sure there's some lengthy delays at the airport. The ground stop has now been canceled. They're working on getting some of those flights out. If you're scheduled to fly this evening, do call ahead to your carrier. Hey, take a look at this picture as well. This was from earlier in the evening, tweeted out to the National Weather Service. This was the leading edge, that shelf cloud, as it rolled into Charlotte earlier this evening. Just, I mean, it's an amazing piece of Mother Nature. It can be devastating and beautiful all at the same time. Luckily, no reports of any serious injuries, but we are continuing to watch the power situation with power lines and trees down across the state. The hardest hit right now, Mecklenburg County, some 40,000 Duke Energy customers without power. I'm seeing our friend Shay is back online, and I'm wondering, Shay, what are you keeping an eye on here as the storms kind of begin to creep through North Carolina and eventually into the Myrtle Beach area?
Well, yeah. So I don't know if would I be able to grab the screen real quick?
All yours.
Okay, good deal. All right, so let's see. Kind of cruising the area along some of these storm lines. I saw, let's see, Pope Air Force Base. We're only getting 40-mile-an-hour gusts, but there was one over here. I think it was McCall Airfield. If I can get it to come up here. McCall, let's see, that's Fort Bragg. Sorry, I lost my place there, but McCall Air Force Auxiliary Airport got basically 60-mile-an-hour gust wind. We're also looking over at North Carolina. This is through our Datascope product as these storms start to approach the coastline, and waiting on this to populate the weather stations underneath the radar here. So give it just a second. Yeah, the Fayetteville area over here is about to blow up. So we talked about this earlier, and this area is starting to really see some high winds moving into the area now.
And matter of fact, Shay, looking at your radar there, it's going to be coming into the downtown Fayetteville area in the next few minutes. But if I've got my bearings straight, it's probably over the Fort Bragg area right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so we have a severe thunderstorm warning there for the next 19 minutes.
Yeah, I'm wondering now, Kit, can you see if those outflow boundaries collided in that area, or it seemed like there was a really quick advancement of storms over that location?
I can pull that up real quick. Let me just see if I can pull that up on GR2 once again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm waiting for these storms.
Should I use like Wilmington? Yeah, I'm looking at the Morehead City office. They've issued a marine warning for portions off of Emerald Isle and North Topsail Beach. So, I mean, not that many people are out on the ocean at 10:26 in the evenings, but we do have that out for them. Let's see if I can share my screen really quick.
Yeah, it looks like New Bern jumped up. Yeah, I think you had a reading from that 58 miles an hour from ASOS weather station, and just kind of waiting to see what happens here. We get a little bit more information from there's much more data at the coastline, so we'll be seeing some more information here shortly. But yeah, some of these gusts are definitely topping up near 60 miles an hour.
Definitely. And I'm looking at those outflow boundaries just to the east of Fayetteville right now, and they have begun to collide just to the north side of Stedman and Salemburg, North Carolina. Again, it's just to the east of Fayetteville. We still see these storms are just marching right behind this long outflow boundary that if I pull up on WSV3 really quick, let me share on that page. Let's see here. Well, I've got to quit screen sharing. Here, I'll just share my entire screen so that y'all can see when I'm flipping back and forth between these things. I've got this longer loop of the radar coming up, and like we saw earlier, we had that long. I'm trying to find something I could draw on here for earlier, but we can see that these thunderstorms have been marching right behind there and are just building up right behind that outflow boundary. I'm just going to use DR3 for right now. But we can see, once again, those outflow boundaries. So places like Elizabethtown, maybe even Whiteville. I'm not sure if those converging outflows will reach all the way down to Whiteville, or if just this one coming through Laurinburg all the way up through Fayetteville, that one will probably dominate as we head down towards Whiteville, North Carolina. Looking out towards Wilmington, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to y'all. Just looking at the pace of these storms, it probably will get to the coast there after 11:30 would be my first estimate. Guys, do y'all want to confirm on that or propose a different time on those arrivals?
I yield to Shay.
Talking about for the Wilmington area or the I don't know if Charleston's going to see anything, but we're in particular talking about
I'm more
the
looking
months.
I'm looking at this progression of the Laurinburg-Fayetteville outflow boundary and trying to see if it will progress all the way down towards Wilmington and get just sort of the general timing on that.
Well, let's see. We'd have to figure out how fast these are moving. They tend to pick up a little bit of acceleration, so I would definitely say within the next hour. Yes, I might agree with that, especially since we've watched this eastern flank really push down to the south across Morehead City, like we're seeing right now.
And we do have a lot of these severe thunderstorm watches until about midnight or so. So that would kind of put us all on the right timeline as we were looking at the radar here in Fayetteville, where it is raining very heavily at Fort Bragg.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, with it being the Air Force Base out there, that's, I'm sure, something that they have been dealing with, and possibly a few of them observing on their own. As you've got an Air Force Base, you probably have a few people who are meteorology enthusiasts at the very minimum. So they're probably all enjoying the storms out there as well.
Guys, I'm going to take the opportunity here at 10:30 just to reset for anybody that might just be joining us. You're watching special coverage from the Carolina Weather Group across the Carolinas right now as we are watching severe weather. You're actually taking a look at my tweet deck where the National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg just tweeting at our friend Kit to thank him for his report of trees down in Belmont for earlier storms where power is out through a large portion of Belmont and Mount Holly. Matter of fact, we can take a look at that Duke Energy map and Gaston County, where Kit is talking about, we have some 11,000 Duke Energy customers without power. Out of all of the counties right now being serviced by Duke Energy, it's Mecklenburg, where 46,000 customers are without power right now. No ETA quite yet on the restoration, as crews are waiting to get out there, safely assess the scene where they got a lot of power lines down and a lot of trees down. But roughly speaking, looking at the map on your screen right now, the areas of concern in yellow, somewhere between 1,000 and 20,000 customers without power. We're seeing that in a lot of our metropolitan areas, and only in Charlotte right now, where they have nearly 50,000, or more precisely 46,000 Duke Energy customers without power after those strong storms came on through. Here's a look right now at the southeast radar. You can see some of those storms as they're making their way across the Carolinas. A lot of activity right now across the central part and the eastern part of North Carolina. We're even watching for storms that have moved out of the Greenville-Spartanburg area, making their way down now towards Columbia with an outflow boundary out ahead of that to see if they kind of get some steam back with them, and even more storms back behind that in Tennessee, where our system came marching through earlier today and left behind quite a line of debris, mainly in the form of downed trees and power lines. The latest prediction from the Storm Prediction Center leaves a lot of us in a slight risk for seeing severe weather for the remainder of today. That's a 2 out of 5 on the scale of severe weather potential. Parts of the Charlotte and the foothills and the high country were under an enhanced risk, or a 3 out of 5 not too long ago, but that has now been downgraded to join the rest of the Piedmont in that slight risk. And here's a look right now at the active watches watches and warnings across the United States, where you can see, again, a large portion of the Carolinas. The pinks are severe thunderstorm watches, and the oranges are severe thunderstorm warnings. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put radar back up on your screen here, and I'm just going to bring everybody up to speed with some of the latest changes as to where the watches are. But before I do that, I'm actually going to switch over to our Columbia radar, which I have not used all too much. But guys, like we were talking about, they've actually issued a severe thunderstorm warning here for a large portion of the northeast Columbia suburban and metropolitan areas, as they're presumably predicting some of these storms to come back to life here. And you can actually see that a little bit on the last few radar scans you can watch, especially to the further south area there as you get closer to the Georgia line, that it's mixing in with some of that fuel left over in the atmosphere from all that heat we had. And we're going to watch for more of those storms to begin to bubble up. But we do have, again, a large part of the area right now under severe thunderstorm warnings, with an amount of lightning that I'm not even going to attempt to count or predict. But we did get an update from the National Weather Service in Raleigh just a few minutes ago. They have canceled the severe thunderstorm watch for Chatham, Lee, Montgomery, Moore, Stanley, and Wake, which includes Raleigh. So you are now out of the severe thunderstorm watch, but they are continuing to keep it active for areas including Anson, Cumberland, Harnett, Johnston, Richmond, Scotland, and Wayne. And again, that's just the update from the National Weather Service in Raleigh, as they're continuing to track the situation there minute by minute. Storm reports we've been telling you about on lots of trees and power lines down. New information in from Blowing Rock, Watauga County, which saw these storms about 6:30, 7 o'clock or so, where they measured a 63-mile-per-hour wind gust that was in the Boone area. We're also getting storm reports of more trees down across Anderson County, South Carolina. And as a matter of fact, if you were with us at the beginning of our coverage in the area near Greer, South Carolina, we were watching a microburst come through there. So guys, of course, lots of trees down here, 10:30 at night. And I'm wondering, Shay, if you have any way to kind of sense the temperature difference right now out ahead of these storms and back behind these storms, because heat is obviously a big component in driving fuel for these storms. And it was very hot in portions of the southeast today, into the upper 90s, into parts of the triple digits, depending on where you were, or at least into that heat index. And these storms are obviously going to be coming through and maybe just hopefully cooling things off a little bit here by the time we get ready to go to bed. But are you able to sense at all kind of what the temperature situation is like out there right now?
Yes. So it looks like we still have 85 to 87 degrees for the most part ahead of these storms, and then behind them we see an immediate drop. New Bern dropped down to 72. So we're looking at about a 15 to 20 degree temperature drop behind these storms. Let me see. I'm just kind of looking at some of the data from the from where the storms have gone through some of these areas, and even out ahead of it. Let's go ahead and take a look at Columbia, actually. That would be a good place to start. And the temperature is, so we have 93.3 degrees in Columbia Owens downtown airport right now ahead of these storms. So you still have all this heat bottled up ahead, and as the storms go through, you're talking a 15 to 20 degree temperature difference behind. So Sumter National Forest, let's see, I'm trying to just pinpoint an area where the temperature drop was significant. It looks like temperatures are dropping right around 70 to 72 degrees back behind these systems. So it looks like, for the most part, about a 20 degree temperature drop. But like I said, in Columbia right now, it's still 93.3 degrees. Even at Columbia Metro Airport, 92.2 degrees. So, that normally at nighttime you have radiational cooling, but with these temperatures being so hot and so much sinking air over the Piedmonts of the Carolinas right now, there's no escape for it. So these storms are feeding off of that energy out ahead of them. That's kind of the gist of it. Even at the coastline, we have 85 degrees, and the storms are starting to breach the Emerald Isle area just now. Winds are starting to become a little bit shifty, so I'm keeping an very particular eye on that area right now. Back to you, James.
Thank you for that, Shay. We do have some new severe thunderstorm warnings out for portions of the Carolinas. In South Carolina, Fairfield, Lexington, Newberry, Richland are all under severe thunderstorm warnings. We also have warnings now active for Chesterfield and Lancaster counties as you make your way back up to the Charlotte area. What's on your screen right now, latest radar image out of Raleigh, where we're seeing some of these severe storms kind of straddling the North Carolina and South Carolina line, as well as Fayetteville and back out towards where they're just exiting New Bern and Jacksonville. New storm report in from earlier this evening. This being reported by WNCN in Raleigh. In Johnston County, a barn was blown off of its foundation and into the road. So some weaker structures like barns, or maybe if you have a carport, could very easily be picked up by this storm and by the winds associated with the storm and carried a little bit. And if it's not the winds that are picking something up, it's the winds knocking something over. New images from Davidson Tendry at Fox 46 in Charlotte showing that tree again down. And this is what we're seeing a lot across the Charlotte area and parts of the state. Just look at this photo. It's lit very well, and you can see how this tree was literally just knocked over at the base of the tree. And if I'm able to make these pictures bigger for you, you can see just how big this tree is. This does appear to be kind of a suburban neighborhood here in the Charlotte area. Matter of fact, this particular picture showing parts of the tree leaning up against the neighbor's house. I'm not sure if this is one and the same with the storm report that we had earlier that came in from the east side of town in the Plaza Midwood area of a tree down on a home. Presumably, it's probably where these pictures are coming from, because I'm sure the news crews would want to get out there and get a little bit of a closer look as to what's out there and happening this evening. But that's a perfect example of what we are seeing when we're talking about trees down. That is what we're talking about. We're talking about not just tiny little twig trees, but big trees as well, to knocking down and falling over onto roadways and power lines. Again, we have a lot of folks who are without power right now across portions of North and South Carolina. Matter of fact, I'm trying to see if I can actually just get a compiled total number of outages. Yes, I can. Here we go. A total number of Duke Energy customers between the two states right now, or at least out of the areas of the two states serviced by Duke Energy, a total of 153,000 Duke Energy customers without power right now. The largest concentration of them in Mecklenburg County, where the number is climbing towards the 50,000 mark. So almost a third of the outages, the affected customers in the Charlotte area right now, where 46,000 customers are without power in the Charlotte area, and crews are assessing the damage. They don't have an overall ETA yet. They got to go out there. They have 449 individual outages they have to address, and so I would imagine some of these areas probably won't see power until tomorrow morning. And Shay, like you were talking about, good news is temperatures are cooling off on the back end of the storm. So not that anybody wants to go a night in July without air conditioning, but at least we are cooling things off a bit.
Yeah, they cool things off tonight. But I tell you, with the ground already saturated and the heat coming right back up tomorrow, we're looking to get into this vicious cycle for days to come, especially with a frontal boundary pushing down from the north. It's going to push down across North Carolina. It looks like it's going to stall just at the coastline and maybe ripple a little bit with Canadian high pressure pushing down behind it. But then it's going to lift back to the north again. So there's going to be even more additional moisture from a frontal boundary approaching. So not only do we have this prefrontal blend ahead of it, but now we've got a sort of an undulating front pushing down slowly down to the North Carolina and then back up again. So it's going to be caught in between high pressures. You've got a lot of energy in between these two going on right now. With the ground already being saturated, you have the coastal areas will dry out quicker because of the different sand content in the soil. That'll be able to evaporate quicker, especially along the coastline where the air dries out faster for the sea breezing. But as you get inland with those clays and loams that retain the moisture longer, you get these low-level rotations throughout the day during the heating process, and that just sparks these thunderstorms all over again. So we could be looking at, with overnight saturation, we could be looking at a round of afternoon storms versus nighttime storms tomorrow. So that's one thing to be on the lookout for.
And, you know, Shay, when you're talking about that saturation and more storms possibly happening later on in the week, I mean, it's summertime after all, but, you know, we might have some of the weaker trees coming down today, but even some of the stronger trees who might have already been susceptible to the storms or maybe are holding on, if they start to get themselves into some saturated ground, we could see more reports of trees down over the course of the next few days. Matter of fact, one of the harder hits areas where we're getting initial storm reports in is Watauga County, up in that Boone area, where Watauga County tells us the emergency crews out on the road right now. They're trying to clear the roads where the trees are currently blocking the roads in several places, but they have opened a public shelter for anybody that might be in the need of a place to go this evening, whether because they lost power or maybe suffered some structural damage. The public shelter in Watauga County now open at Alliance Bible Fellowship on the 105 bypass. This is Watauga County, Alliance Bible Fellowship, 105 bypass. There's a public shelter open there for anybody that might be in a need of a place to go tonight. But that's the latest from Watauga County Emergency Management. We heard a little bit earlier in the evening from Emergency Management here in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, where their 911 system was getting inundated. It's not clear to me right now whether or not they're still dealing with a lot of real-time calls coming in, but I do think it's probably worth reminding folks that if you do not have a life-threatening emergency in the Charlotte area and you need to get in touch with city municipalities, your number to dial is 311. Leave 911 for emergencies only, 311 for non-emergencies. So we will continue to watch some of these as we are beginning to see these storms push further south and further to the east. Shay, what are your thoughts? I know you mentioned it earlier, and I'm seeing a picture out of Ohio from earlier of a very weak funnel cloud. Luckily, the threat we were talking with a lot today is in forms of wind and hail and heavy rain, but you had mentioned earlier water spouts. Is that something that's on your radar as this line begins to eventually push closer to the coast?
No, let's see. Let me show. I can show you what I have going on here. And we're looking at the level 2 radar right now, and I'm looking particularly at the Newport area near Morehead City. This cell that's extending to the south is meeting pretty much a west-southwesterly jet. So you have winds coming in from this direction here. Then you got this northwest wind here along the storm. You have a gust front out ahead of that, meeting these southwesterly winds, which were about 20 knots. So it's always an area to watch when you get this kind of a spin going on in the atmosphere along ahead of these storms and into the sea breeze, or basically the nocturnal jetting along the coastline right now. Sometimes you can get some vortices that spin up over the water. We have seen MCSs sort of develop overnight with these kind of systems where you have a large scale rotation with several water spouts embedded. It's only detectable by radar. A lot of times they don't happen, but we did have one come ashore Morehead City from the south back in the spring and actually carve all the way up through the inner Outer Banks area. So these storms are coming from a different direction. But I'm looking at this level 2 radar, and I'm GRE as well for any kind of additional activity in this area. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is any kind of rotation that's going to occur in this general vicinity right now.
Yeah, that is, I think, some good news in what we're dealing with here. Is we're not talking about a tornado outbreak. We're talking about severe thunderstorms that are bringing down trees, resulting in power outages and maybe some localized flooding. Watauga County asking us to pass along that apparently they've seen it. I haven't. I don't know if you guys have, but there's apparently an image on social media of a reported tornado up in their neck of the woods. It's an old picture. They're saying there was not a tornado in Watauga today. It's apparently a 2012 picture that is being circulated on social media. I have not seen it. I'm not sure if anybody else has, but certainly Watauga County right now working on a bunch of storm reports as a lot of emergency officials and emergency management are trying to catch up and get all of this verified. Matter of fact, we have new severe thunderstorm warnings now for Goldsboro and Clinton and Mount Olive in North Carolina, and these will go until about 1:15, so half an hour or so. And matter of fact, he's back with us now, Kit in Gaston County. He's in the Belmont area, but also in Gaston County, Cherville. National Weather Service just confirming for us that 3 large trees fell along Robert Road. So we're not just talking about tiny little twigs here. We're talking about some really big trees, and I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing all of these power outages. Kit, how are things in your neck of Gaston County?
Well, I think I'm hearing a little bit of rain start falling outside my windows here, but for the most part, I think Gaston County missed, or at least eastern Gaston County earlier missed some of the heavier rain, or excuse me, heavier winds. But I did get a report from a friend, and she told me that there were some power or not power lines. There were power outages through North Belmont and Mount Holly, if I remember correctly. And then she said that she had seen a couple trees down just while she was out this evening. So those are from those earlier storms. Yes, we did have that severe thunderstorm warning that was for parts of western Gaston County, but that was canceled. And I would believe that those trees that were in the Cherville area, I would believe that those would have been associated with the earlier storms this evening, as that severe thunderstorm died out pretty quickly as it entered the eastern portions of Cleveland County before it even got to Gaston County. I think it was canceled before it got here. But for the most part, it looks like we'll just have some light to moderate rain fall through most of the rest of the evening. That thunderstorm fuel we were talking about earlier, all of that seems to have been used up, and I'm looking at this one storm report here of just outside of Cliffside, Cleveland County. There was a report from Large Branch about half an hour or so ago. But like I said, for the far western regions of North Carolina, it might be okay to go ahead and say that we're in the clear for the evening, but don't take my word for it. Still, if you have a weather radio, keep that on. There might be something that just decides to march over the mountains again, and there might be some upper level enhancements that could continue some severe thunderstorms. But for right now, what it looks like, pretty nice, just light rain. For anyone who didn't get some significant rain earlier, this is the type of rain that we kind of want to let it soak in. This is not going to cause any flash floods. This is just light rain that moves in, moves out, but still gets us some rain for the ground and for all the plants you've got. I've got a friend who lives out in New Bern, and he was telling me just a few minutes ago that they were having some heavy winds coming through there. And like we said, we had that ASOS station say that we had 55 or 58 mile winds, and other reports of 50+ mile-an-hour winds through that area. He said there's a few power outages out there. Wendy's had a partial power outage while he was there, and there's some street lights out. So that's another thing we haven't really mentioned, but we've mentioned like trees falling onto roads, but a lot of times when you have power outages through whole cities, you're going to get places where you have the intersection lights are out. So everyone needs to be careful when they're driving, even after these storms, because the power companies can't quite get to every single intersection right after the storm moves out to fix the traffic lights. So always remember, I think it's you yield to either whoever got there first, or if you get there at the same time, you yield to the right, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the best advice is to treat it as a stop sign. Treat it as a four-way stop. If you come to an intersection,
Exactly.
they're going to be triaging some of those and try to get to the most important and busiest roads first, and likewise. Apologize for stepping in, Kit, but we do have an update here from the National Weather Service. The severe thunderstorm watch has been allowed to cancel. It has been dropped for the Charlotte area. Also being dropped with this latest update in South Carolina, Abbeville, Anderson, Cherokee, Greenwood, Lawrence, and Union and York. Union and York as well are now out of the severe thunderstorm watch. In North Carolina, Cabarrus, Mecklenburg, and Union have been allowed to drop. What we're going to keep a close eye on in this neck of the woods, and this is the furthest west warning we have right now in the Carolinas, is this one warning in the Columbia metro area to the north and to the west, where they're beginning to see some of these storms again reforming as they come into the Columbia area. But the main line right now, and I will actually use the Wilmington radar that I have not yet used tonight, stretches back across north of Florence and into areas just to the east of Fayetteville. But Fayetteville itself, along with Fort Bragg, no longer under a warning. And for the entire time we've been on tonight, I think this is the smallest amount of square footage we have seen under a warning here, as some of these storms do begin to wind down. But Kit, to your point, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch and warnings back across portions of central Tennessee, so we will watch for some of that activity to eventually make its way east. And as Shay was mentioning a few minutes ago, it is certainly summertime. It is certainly hot. We're certainly going to see situations like this continue to bubble up. We do have a oh, and this is just the watch, the severe thunderstorm watch continuing for Chester, South Carolina. So in that Charlotte area, we kind of are just kind of watching for some of those to drop off one by one. Matter of fact, if I were to kind of, again, just crudely measure from Goldsboro down towards just outside of Florence, that's about 170 miles or so under the warning. And if I were just to kind of draw it straight through that other warning, it's about 250 miles or so currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. But moving out of the western part of the state through some of the central parts of the state until it eventually reaches the coast.
Right, and on the point of the Tennessee storms, I've got that pulled up on Gibson Ridge real quick. I'm seeing lots of reports of damaging winds from 63 miles per hour just to the west of, or sorry, to the east of Nashville. Right in Nashville, there's places with 51, 59, upwards of 65 mile an hour winds. Reported all throughout the Nashville metro region for all of these severe thunderstorms that are here. So this we're talking about to the east of us, sorry, east and west, to the left of us, we'll call it that.
The left, you say?
It's to the left on the map.
It's Friday night.
But yes, definitely. We've got all these thunderstorms that haven't quite hit the mountains yet. So these might try to jump the mountains. Sometimes they die out, sometimes they intensify. But my guess, initially, I haven't looked at any models, but I would probably say that these will probably just die out on their own as severe thunderstorms, even though as I speak I'm seeing a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for that middle box there. But these could very easily just die out and then bring a little bit of light rain in the wee hours of the morning, if not just before your morning commute tomorrow. Well, it is Saturday, so not many people will be having a morning commute. But if you're getting out there, you might have a few morning showers if you're headed out on vacation. So even though we see,
it is interesting that those warnings are continuing. The storms are continuing in strength. They had storms roll through there earlier, but they've got enough fuel left over in the atmosphere to continue fueling these storms.
Right, and I saw one that was up here in Swain County, I think it was, or at least points west of it. I'm trying to pull it up on the Morristown radar, but I was seeing that one all the way out from the Nashville in the mountains of North Carolina, so I'm trying to get a better image of that one. Here it is. Okay, it looks a little bit more wimpy now that I'm looking at it here. But
that's right on the border where you're talking about in the higher elevation.
Right, so this is one of those things that it looks like it probably just got sparked off just because of the uplift on the mountains. So with these storms out to the west that have the severe thunderstorm warning boxes on them, those are all getting sparked up on their own, potentially from their own outflow boundaries, just kicking up the air in front of it to sustain the thunderstorm. This one, just south of Sevierville, is just being uplifted from the mountains themselves. So this is the secondary kind of storm that we could see this evening.
That's right. Maybe Shay can walk us through. Shay, thunderstorms obviously being lifted up into the atmosphere, but it's not just the heat; it's also the land that can kind of do that.
As far as
just the general thunderstorm anatomy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Depending if your topography, then you, especially at nighttime, you also have all kinds of varying degrees of lifting air. What type of air, where it is, swamp areas, lakes, anything like that. That's causing further instability within that warm air. So you have lakes that are cooler with the surrounding hot air. I've found a lot of times at nighttime that swamplands really tend to let off a lot of heat. They retain heat, especially if they're kind of closer to the coastline where the tide has gone out and the floodplain is a little bit lower. With the muds and everything retaining that heat for longer, you tend to get storms that blow up over those areas too. I've been watching for that pattern for some time, but in a situation like this, I really think it's just overtaking these heavier pockets of hot air, and where they really overtake these pockets of hot air, they let out their outflow boundary, or where the storms max out, they let out their cool outflow boundary ahead, and then those collide out, with each other downstream, and then they flare up again. So it sort of repeats the cycle. But yeah, nocturnal storming is really tricky, especially if you have an inversion that it's working off of. I think this is actually pre-inversion, so it's really just a matter of cooler air overtaking the warm air. But even behind that, we're just getting down to normal low temperatures. I think low temperatures tonight overall for a lot of the southeast region were supposed to be about 80, 82 degrees. So significantly cooler than that behind these at 72. It may stay that way until tomorrow, but there again, we repeat the whole cycle with the ground moisture being retained. So I'm seeing a lot of readings at the coast now. A lot of these weather stations are starting to show some higher readings. We got 47 miles an hour, Fort Macon showing 46 miles an hour. Where else we have here? McAllen Airport is 50 miles an hour, and that's just next to Beaufort, just to the east of Morehead City. And so where those storms are breaching the coastline there, they're starting to pick up on some of these. Now we're starting to see the storms breach at Emerald Isle and Indian Shores. Winds are picking up. Let's see, Point Emerald just topped out at 38 miles an hour, but that's on the climb. Some of these stations, they don't read. Our Mesonet reads every 5 minutes, but a lot of these stations will pick up maybe every 10 or 15 minutes a time. So it's really hard to get a good snapshot unless they catch it and actually goes into the feed. So that's the highest one now so far is 49 miles an hour, and that's just east of Morehead City.
We do have an update from the National Weather Service in Raleigh. They have made some changes to the counties that are no longer under the severe thunderstorm watch, meaning that Cumberland, Johnston, and Wayne are now out of the woods. Excuse me, I read that backwards. Cumberland, Johnston, and Wayne continue the severe thunderstorm watch. It's Anson and Harnett, Richmond, and Scotland that are now no longer under the severe thunderstorm watch in the greater Raleigh area. We're continuing to get storm reports in from across the state. The National Weather Service offices doing a great job tonight of issuing these warnings, staying on top of it, and verifying all these storm reports, including the Columbia office, which just told us a few minutes ago that the one storm they have kind of working their way through here just near Prosperity brought down a tree not so long ago, and that's one of the reasons why you're watching the severe thunderstorm warning up right now as kind of these storms try to get their act back together, but it doesn't look all too impressive right now.
They could skip over. They could just make light rain.
Kit up on his screen right now showing us some of the activity back across Tennessee. We'll watch for some of those storms to possibly move into the area again this weekend. But this line of storms right now, that's where it came from earlier. It came from Tennessee, and it was very impressive. Kit was talking about it a few minutes ago. How sometimes when the storms hit the mountains, they fall apart, but in this case, these storms moved right across the mountains and kept on going, and that's one of the reasons we saw the storm reports that we did out of Boone and Watauga County.
And if I'm remembering correct, I didn't. I hate to admit it, but I wasn't watching it completely all day long. But what they did is they started in Tennessee, then they sort of died out. Like once they got towards Knoxville, Sevierville. But then they just sort of re-kicked in parts of the mountains just east of Asheville and like Marion. So they sort of did this skip over the mountains, like over the highest outcrop, which I'm sort of thinking that has to do with a more dynamic setup, and that it refired from the cape that was left over just from the day. I'm not thinking that there's going to be enough for us to have that kind of a storm skip over the mountains and refire. It might just be light rain in this case. I switched to the Morristown radar because that's where these severe thunderstorm warnings are headed towards. It's actually the area of our friend Ricky Matthews, his coverage area. So wouldn't be surprised if he has to come in just a few hours early in the morning to do some coverage. If some of these thunderstorms out to their west continue into the Tri-Cities coverage area.
And we do have a new storm.
Scoot over to that line that's approaching the Wilmington area. If somebody would pull that up, I can share a screen on mine for level 2 if you like. But I'm going to take a look. It looks like we may have a bow echo forming for some additional velocity.
Uh-oh.
Are you a no-go, Kit? I've got it up here. It's coming your way now, Shay.
I've got GR2 up.
You got 2 up?
I don't have good velocities though.
Okay. Yeah, neither do I. I don't have my velocity settings. I tend to get it better on the Radar Scope Pro. But if you look to the northwest of Wilmington, you can see an outflow boundary out ahead of those storms, but the entire cluster is forming a bow echo, so there's an inflow jet coming in behind, back behind where Fayetteville is, actually. So that's what's pushing that bow echo out towards the Wilmington area. So that's definitely something to be concerned about with higher winds and more tree damage, more power outages possible with something like this. So I have not gotten an actual reading, surface reading from the ground yet, but I believe if you got the inspector tool, yeah, we still have 50, 60 mile an hour winds. So yeah, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds possible with this. And these bow echoes tend to pick up a little bit of steam, so we could get over 60.
And what's interesting, Shay, is actually that's an area right now that's not under a warning, technically speaking.
Yeah.
Well,
Heading
put
into
it under a
the
warning.
town.
Should we go ahead and just issue the warning ourselves?
I don't.
All right, Kit, draw the polygon. Let's go.
Here, let me get out my Microsoft Paint tool and draw a little yellow line around this.
While we wait for that warning to come out, it is now just past 11 o'clock. We'll take a moment to reset if you're just joining us here on streaming special coverage of the on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. This is a look at the radar right now in the southeast. You can see the amount of rain that is still working its way across the Piedmont. Matter of fact, I think it's coming right now into that Interstate 95 corridor in portions of North Carolina and even into portions of South Carolina near Florence. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings out, as we were showing you a moment ago. We are continuing to stream what you're looking here on your screen from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma in the yellow. 2 out of 5 on the scale of severe weather potential. This is called slight chance of seeing severe weather. We had portions of the Charlotte and the high country and even up towards Boone, if you ever got skiing, or towards the Blue Ridge Highway up in that neck of the woods, was under an enhanced risk for severe weather. 3 out of 5 earlier today. That's been allowed to drop after some of these storms came through and reported some damage there. Taking a look right now just across the entire U.S. and specifically in our neck of the woods in the Carolinas, you can see the counties in pink. That area is shrinking. Those are the severe thunderstorm watches, orange being the warnings, as this line does begin to move further eastward towards the coast. But what it's leaving behind is a wake of downed trees and power lines. This is a look at Duke Energy power outages right now. Across the state, Duke Energy, 166,000 Duke Energy customers without power right now across portions of North and South Carolina. A large majority, Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, 50,000 customers right now without power. So a third of the power outages, the customers without power right now in the Carolinas, are in the Charlotte area themselves, and it's because of storm reports like this that we just got it in from the National Weather Service confirming to us trees are down across portions of Rock Hill in York County, South Carolina, just outside the Mecklenburg area and the Charlotte area after these storms came rolling through it at about 9 p.m. We have a severe thunderstorm warning being continued right now for Sampson and Wayne, North Carolina until 11:15. It's been canceled for Cumberland and Johnson. Shay, you seeing anything new as I pop it up on the screen with that outflow boundary you were watching there as it makes its way closer and closer to Wilmington? Still no warning.
Still no warning. No, the outflow boundary is there. I'm looking at it right here. It's on my share screen. You can see the bow echo forming. It looks rather broken, and they could be holding off on that warning simply because of the amount of dry air from that southwesterly breezing earlier up in that hook of North Carolina. So I kind of consider Southeast North Carolina kind of like a bat wing. So you have the outer capes, and on the inner capes is where a lot of dry air gets surged or injected inland quite a bit. So that outflow boundary could fizzle out. These storms could fizzle out on the coastline. Just depends on what the atmospheric dynamics are for right now, for what they're seeing. They're probably looking at several things in AWIPS 2, and making determinations to that point. They may go ahead and highlight the area here shortly based on what I'm seeing right now. But the other thing I wanted to show you was the temperatures. I don't know if you can see this. Are you share screening on mine right now?
Yes, Shay, you're up, although I'm not seeing temperatures right now.
Okay. Not seeing the temperatures. Okay. I have GRE Earth, or GR Earth, on screen right now.
I think you've got GR2 analyst. See if you're broadcasting, screen sharing the GR2 versus GRE.
Sure. Okay. Let's try this and go here.
Ooh.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay.
Now we've got the temperatures.
They're a little tiny, so if you could give us some assistance in reading those.
Sure. Okay. So here we go. I was talking earlier about Columbia being 93, 92 degrees, and these temperatures are, they're continuing to fall just a little bit. But that's probably one of the reasons why Columbia has circled their area again for a severe thunderstorm warning right now, is because of these just hot temperatures still remaining, even all the way to the coastline. We're still in the 80s, and then back behind the storm, you can see some of these temperatures are dropping all the way down to the upper 60s. So a lot of cooling going on behind the system. I don't see anything really developing behind it because everything's sort of stabilized. But out here ahead, just ahead of these thunderstorms, you can see the temperatures. Wilmington right now, let me let the loop run. It says 86, 85. And as these storms approach, we're at 84 degrees. 84 degrees, Myrtle Beach, about 87 degrees. So we're seeing mainly mid to upper 80s right now along the coastline ahead of these storms. I mean, we're talking 11:10 p.m. in the mid to upper 80s still.
So I'm just reading the latest discussion and check-ins from the National Weather Service in Wilmington relating to this outflow boundary that we are keeping a close eye on, because we're waiting to see if they're going to put this under a warning at all. And one of the things, and I just wanted to share this, and I don't have any insight as to whether or not this will go under a warning, but at about 10:14, the National Weather Service asking amateur radio operators to activate or to at least stand by on what they call Skywarn. This kind of predates social media, but is still a great tool, especially when the power is out, so that they can communicate with folks and get storm reports on the ground from storm chasers and storm spotters using good old-fashioned analog radios. This is actually a ham radio themselves. So Skywarn spotters standing by in Wilmington. This isn't all too unusual when warnings go out. It happens here in Charlotte all the time, where the volunteers and the amateur radio community will begin to relay storm damage in their neck of the woods. And in addition now to, of course, social media and television and emergency managers and police and everybody else who are on the ground, it's these community volunteers who are also compiling reports and getting them in. And one of the things that happens in the Charlotte area all the time is we've kind of have an area in town, and we talked about it, touched on it briefly before, where the radar coverage is not all that great. So it's kind of hard for the National Weather Service, sitting miles and miles away, to get a feel for what's happening on the ground there. So they will flat out ask people in the area, amateur radio operators, to kind of relay what they're seeing. And that might be the situation that we're looking at here too, where Wilmington is asking for some additional assistance from the eyes on the ground to get an idea of exactly what's happening at the ground, as opposed to where the radar is seeing some 10,000 feet up.
And sort of switching gears, I'm looking at some stuff up to our north, where we have our friend Peter Planamente living. We've got numerous reports up there of heavy rain, upwards of 2 to even some 3-inch reports in and around the South Jersey area. So even though we are the Carolina Weather Group, we do have our friends outside the Carolinas, and just wanted to give a quick shout out to the South Jersey and Philadelphia regions.
Yeah, and Ohio and Pennsylvania getting in on the action as well as we put the radar back up on the screen for you, and you can kind of get a feel for what's happening across portions of the country right now. This isn't the only weather party happening tonight, apparently.
Yeah, I think that there was a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of either far east New York State, or I think that is New York State there. But there is
it's going to be kind of up into the Erie area of Pennsylvania and New York. Is that what you're looking at here? This line.
Right.
New York is very oddly.
There was a marine warning for most of the southern half of Lake Erie there.
I'm going to transition here my radar. Give me 1 second to pop it back up on your screen. We do have some new warnings coming in right now from the South Carolina area. This is Columbia. National Weather Service in Columbia deciding to continue here with the pattern we've been seeing over the course of the last few minutes, which is putting up these warnings in parts of the metropolitan area. They have one warning now that kind of stretches up I-77 a little bit closer to the Charlotte area and does include portions of Lancaster County, but the storm that's really catching my eye right now is actually down along the border with Georgia. It's actually right there straddling that border, and it's going to make its way through the Augusta area of Georgia and into Aiken, South Carolina. That is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. So I hate to say it, but it seems like at least in some areas we're still continuing to see some convective thunderstorms continuing to develop.
So, yeah, it looks like we could bring Charleston into the fold here tonight, huh?
Oh, good, Shay.
We'll put you on
overnight duty. Stay on for another couple of hours.
Those storms along the South Carolina-Georgia border really blew up right near Troy, Willington. I'm looking at, looks like where the bend in the Savannah River is. That's sort of a, I wouldn't know what it is exactly on the Google Maps, but that's a heavily vegetative area with swampland. So I'm wondering if that had something to do with that blow up along that area.
There is a very large lake that extends both north and south into Georgia and South Carolina, and along the border, it seems like it creates most of the border for those counties around Parksville and Lincoln, Georgia. Severe seem to have popped up right along both an outflow boundary that has been the outflow boundary we've been talking about a lot through the upstate of South Carolina, and over the top of that lake on that border. And as I'm speaking, there is, I'm going to screen share this, but there is another severe thunderstorm warning just to the south and west of the one headed towards Augusta in eastern Georgia. Here we have right along I-20 moving into Norwood and Warrenton, Georgia, for all of our Georgia fans who watch the Carolina Weather Group.
We actually have one in Thompson right there on the screen. We do have fans.
So that is Clarks Hill Lake.
Oh, well, very nice.
The center of the storm cell is over Hamilton Branch State Park. So that's what's going on there at the border. Everything's moving south towards, let's see.
They all seem to be headed right towards the
Augusta
this
area.
boundary.
That's right.
Follows the whole of Bonnie, it seems, from Columbia all the way out through Augusta and into. It even looks like it heads up into the Atlanta metro. I'm just here. We have storms into the Shadydale and right down Peachtree City. It looks like there's a few storms. So this is a very long either outflow boundary or some sort of surface prefrontal boundary. I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but
the hotter lines of air that are feeding this thing. Yeah, so that's definitely could consider that cool boundary. I mean, the whole thing is developing. It looks like if you look all the way over to just west of Augusta, all the way to Cape Lookout, North Carolina, and even stringing up through the Outer Banks and off into the Atlantic, you can almost see an entire frontal system that has developed out of this entire eastern half of this particular storm system. So you can almost connect the dots all the way across at this point.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up a full view of this southern end. Sorry, I'm zooming in the backwards way. This southern and western end of this boundary that we have here. I mean, like you're saying, connecting the dots. We've got this one out here. This is out towards the Morehead City National Weather Service office, and then up through north of Wilmington, and then we've got the areas around the Columbia office, and then we have here this boundary that's sparked off the Augusta. We'll call this the Augusta storm as it's headed towards Augusta, and then the one just outside of Thompson. This goes all the way back towards the Peachtree City of just small convective storms starting to fire along that boundary. I'm going to see if I can pull up a surface analysis real quick. I'll toss it back to you guys.
I'm looking, and I don't even want to put it on the screen yet because something doesn't sit right with me. But I'm looking on social media, and you might actually be able to see it there in the thumbnail of my screen of a media report citing police of a funnel cloud earlier today in Bethel, North Carolina. Something doesn't sit right with me here because A, we didn't see this. B, this is the world's most well-defined funnel I've ever seen. But B, it's also too light out in this picture. I feel like by the time we got into portions of eastern North Carolina, it was dark by the time any of these storms are rolling through. Am I missing something, Shay?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I'm trying to pull up where Bethel is because
it's just
there
north
was
of Greenville
that
and near Rocky Mount.
Okay.
So
I'm going to
storms only rolled
call.
through here an hour ago.
Nothing this
I'm
afternoon.
going to call.
I thought I remembered
yes
seeing
on
some activity up that way this afternoon.
Was there some activity up that way this afternoon?
I think I grazed some radar earlier and saw it, but I was paying more attention to the coastal South Carolina area.
I mean, the photo I'm looking at, I could be wrong.
Let's see.
But something just doesn't sit
with
right with
it-
my gut.
If they're saying it's Bethel, North Carolina, and it is the Bethel, North Carolina, to the let's see here if I can share the screen that I've got here.
Yeah, sure.
If I'm looking at the right Bethel, North Carolina, to the outside of Greenville, North Carolina, that picture has lots of mountains in it, and
That's
I can
also
almost
true.
guarantee you out here
It's a
in
great
the
observation,
plains
Kit.
of North Carolina, there are no mountains whatsoever. There might be a hill that's 10 feet tall, but that's where I'm calling fake picture on that.
Okay, debunked.
Okay, now I'm going to share my screen. I've found the original photo. It is fake, or it is a use of an earlier photo. What I've done is I've taken the photo that was on social media. Here it is, folks. So if you see it later, this is what's making social media rounds right now for being Bethel, North Carolina, but I just ran it through Google, and it's coming up on the internet from earlier instances. So this is a photo that is available already on the internet, and assuming, and you're going to look at this with me together here, but here is a use of that photo, I believe. Yes, here it is. A 2012 tornado near Mount Evans. This is a report from CBS Denver. This is Colorado, folks. So if you and this might be what Watauga County was talking about earlier, although I thought they were talking about an instance in their neck of the woods. Either way, there are no reports of any funnel clouds or tornadoes that we are aware of right now in North Carolina. And the particular image that was just shared on social media by a station that I will be texting here shortly is from Colorado.
Right. So that's one thing, and I made a post on the Carolina Weather Group page a few weeks back of whenever you have a picture of it through social media, one thing like I did, you can look up where it is, see if the geography matches. One thing like James did is you can sort of back search the image on Google. I'm not sure how to do it, but basically you just copy and paste the image into Google, and you can find the image other places potentially. Also, common sense. Like if you haven't, like Shay was saying, he saw some storms out there, but he wasn't sure if they were the type of storms to create a tornado or not. So a lot of these things you have to take with a grain of salt and take it with common sense real quick
Now
before
that
you
was a good
believe
one,
it on
Kit.
social media.
That's when, a lot of times I end up going back through level 2 archiving and go back to find information on something, an event or um, something like this. Yeah. Well, I tell you, that's total common sense right there. Seeing the mountains in Bethel, North Carolina. Good catch.
Right. So, and I don't want to look it up, but I'm going to. There was a picture of just a really, really low-hanging cloud um, a few weeks back that I'm trying to pull it up right now, but this is just something good to talk about when we have severe outbreaks, to pull stuff up like this, because people are going to be posting it and sharing it and everything. But trying to talk and stall while I'm frantically searching for this image that I had, but we share so many things on the Carolina Weather Group that it is deeply buried. But basically what it was a low-hanging cloud that had a lot of trees along the bottom part of the frame, and you couldn't see the bottom part of the cloud, but it looked like it was a tornado. And if I wanted to, I could have said, "Hey, y'all, look at this tornado," just from a picture. But one of the things I noted in the post was that a lot of times you need to have video to show rotation to see even if it is a rotating funnel. Yeah, I'm June 16th, still not seeing it. I'm not going to stall anymore on the topic. If I find it, I'll cut in. It's that burning tree. I know I'm close. I know I'm close. Where is it?
It's all right. While you're looking for that, we have a pretty strong line of storms that have reached the North Topsail Beach and Surf City areas of North Carolina. Some have passed through. There is a southward drifting outflow boundary that has met a boundary to the south, firing off a few storms, and other boundaries incoming from the west. So it looks like this area could see some additional activity here down into the Wilmington-Wrightsville Beach area here shortly in the next, though, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes.
All right, I did actually end up finding that picture finally. Let's see here. All right. So this here is a funnel cloud. Not really. But you can see how well defined it. I mean, it looked to me like my heart just sort of sunk when I saw this, but then I just looked at it a little bit longer, and then later I actually saw this image first and then took the other one later. But so here it looks like it's dropping down, and then I drive a little bit further just down a hill, and you can't see that it's not touching the ground. So just because you've got the trees in front of it, it looks like, well, like your mind just assumes, yeah, it's touching the ground. Yeah, it's a tornado. It's a huge wedge tornado. And I mean, it looks every bit as much as a tornado should, except for the fact that it isn't rotating. And I didn't put it up here with it, but later on, it just sort of broke apart from this without any rotation. And had I provided video, it would have been an instant debunking of its own self. But that's one of the things you've got to look out for. Like I said over here, wedge tornado, not quite.
While you guys are, oh look, text messages. Let me take that off the screen. Regardless of that text I just sent, the tweet in question has disappeared.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Now that I just shared my text on the screen.
Dang it, I wasn't looking.
Nope, neither was I. So you're lucky.
Maybe it didn't go then. I thought I saw it on the screen. It's okay. It was friendly. It just said, "Hey, FYI." But you know what? Mistakes happen to everybody, and we got to look out for each other. And just passing along an FYI. So
yeah, and that's kind of a good thing that we can do, and like something that really anyone can do if you have enough reasonable doubt to say something, like go ahead and do it. Like don't hesitate to say this doesn't look right, just to avoid confusion or possible dispatch of any emergency services. Because like we've been seeing with just 911 in Mecklenburg County, emergency services during times like this are kind of stressed and possibly stretched kind of thin, and they need to be focusing on legitimate reports instead of something that could be fabricated or photoshopped or a false report of an earlier
right, just reused from an earlier incident. All right, we're coming up at 11:30. Are you guys seeing any indication that these storms are continuing to grow, and or we're getting new storm reports, or are things kind of beginning to wind down a little bit?
I'm not seeing any immediate storm reports, but more because I haven't looked.
I'm seeing the. Let me take a quick peek here. I'm just following GR Earth, and it looks like
I'm
there's
looking
a
at
new.
a few storm reports from Marlborough County, but that is from a.
We have new severe thunderstorm warning for north central Florence County and northeastern South Carolina, northwestern Horry County and northeastern South Carolina, east central Darlington County and northeastern South Carolina, Marion County, southern Dillon County, and they continue to say 60-mile-per-hour winds with quarter-size hail possible. The one upstate past Lancaster is ongoing. Let's see. That one, severe thunderstorm warning for central Kershaw County, Lancaster County, and central South Carolina, west central Chesterfield County, and northeastern Fairfield County. All of those. The one to the south, along the Georgia-South Carolina border, is northeastern Columbia County, northeast and east central Georgia, Lincoln County, Richmond County, Edgefield, McCormick, and western Aiken County in central South Carolina. So we're continuing to see a few warnings firing off here as we get into the late hours, as this entire system slowly makes its way to the coastline. I expect more of these areas to be drawn up as it approaches the coast. We may even get something here in Charleston in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, and I'm still seeing a few of these storms out towards the Georgia-South Carolina border. Those could continue on at least eventually bring a little bit of rain to the Charleston area in the south portion of South Carolina. Not necessarily severe, as that is probably about a 3-hour or more arrival time before they'd get there, but that is something that could continue, but there's no immediate indication right now.
And on the other side of the state, and I think this might be that outflow boundary, or no, actually it's a little bit different location. Other side of the state of South Carolina, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Dillon, Florence, Marion, and also Columbus, North Carolina. So that's on the kind of the greater Florence area of South Carolina now under a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, that's sort of a continuance of the Lumberton storm into Whiteville there. That's what I'm looking at.
That's right, yeah. We got Robeson, western Columbus, north central Florence County, northwestern Horry County, Marion County, and Dillon County, all in the new polygon drawn out.
And I'm also now seeing Pender, North Carolina, and Shay, I think this might be a bit of that outflow you were looking at. I can pop it up on the screen for you in just a moment, presumably. But we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for Pender, North Carolina, just north of the
Wilmington. Kid, if you look here, let me grab the screen here, show you that one particular.
Just one comment. I saw that there's Bladen County, North Carolina. It has been completely skipped by every single like there was the line of severe thunderstorms that came through Fayetteville, and then we were talking about like, are they going to continue this thunderstorm warning? They didn't, and then now they've got the ones for the South Carolina-North Carolina border, but Bladen County has not had a severe thunderstorm warning, but every single county around them has had at least one, possibly even 2 or 3 this evening.
Odd man out. So yeah, you can see this outflow boundary drifting to the south, at least from these storms all up in the Jacksonville area, and that fired off a cell right here just west of Burgaw. We have this outflow boundary here as well, heading towards the coastline. So these two look to converge somewhere just northwest of Wilmington, if not just to the west. We could see a couple of cells fire up right along this zone. That'll be the next hot spot. So they went ahead and they're starting to fill it in from north to south as far as that goes as these come in from the west. So this area right now looking like kind of the hot spot to fill in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that outflow boundary, and we have. What was it like? I know, Shay, you're down at Charleston, and you're not up. We're looking to, we're talking potentially more Myrtle Beach here, but I mean, I imagine it was very hot where you guys are.
Yeah, we hit like I said earlier. In case the audience wasn't on at that time, coastal South Carolina, we hit 100 degrees for the first time since June 21st of 2011. Heat indexes were up to 110 to about 113 degrees. Along the immediate coastline, we were down to about 100 to 105. So we're talking just inland. The National Weather Service this morning went ahead and put it out. It was even hotter there than it was in Columbia. A lot of times in this kind of heat, Columbia and Atlanta, the mid-state and the Piedmont areas tend to be a little bit hotter. And at the coastline, we've all been feeling it. So triple digits today, possibly tomorrow, for the next 3 to 4 days, as far as we can see. We're just stuck in this intense heating pattern. So add all of these thunderstorms moving over the area and precipitating and getting the ground moist, and that's a recipe for more storms to fire off tomorrow as well. So it's added instability and heat over and over.
Did I lose Shay, or did you guys lose me? All right, so I think I'm still with you, and we'll let the guys try to reconnect. I'm still on with you. Here comes Kit. Shay will be next. I don't know. Did we hit some magical timeout? It's been 2 hours or so here with you on the Carolina Weather Net here on this July 8th, 2016. About 11:30 at night. I don't know. You guys both dropped off at the same time. I think I'm still on, and I think we're still live. I don't know if we hit a magical like 2-hour mark or something, but
I still see the live up there.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I lost them.
If it started going slow. Well, see, I tried to open up an old tab, and I think Chrome fussed at me, or maybe it was just Google Hangouts, I don't know, but something coincided, and I had to disconnect my internet and then reconnect, so that was fine.
The following counties in South Carolina no longer
anyway.
Severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for Darlington, Dillon, and Marlboro, South Carolina. This is a second storm tonight, by the way, for Marlboro, and also Robinson, North Carolina. So I think that's that big box that's going to come down here in a second.
I think Kit purposely cut me off, so I stopped talking.
I'm sorry, you were in the middle of explaining something.
No, it's okay. I was just talking about,
sorry about that.
The extreme heat that we have for days to come, and triple digits. It's just hot. It's amazingly hot.
Yes, it is. I agree. And if you guys watch us on our regular Wednesday nights, when we have the panel on and we have guests on to talk, you'll often see me sitting here sweating and I'll often be joking about how hot it is in the apartment. It was the hottest day of the year so far, although it was one of the cooler days in my apartment, and I'm not sure why, because the heat index was obviously a problem today, but we only got up to 77 inside my apartment today, and that's a new record low high temperature.
Is that because it doesn't work well, or because you just keep it at a warmer level?
It's set to like 68.
Oh wow.
Age. I'm gonna go with the age of the apartment. Severe thunderstorm warning being allowed to expire right now in Sampson, North Carolina. Good news here is I think I'm seeing more warnings being canceled and or dropping off than are being issued.
Mm-hmm.
I would say going strong though still is that storm that's making its way through Aiken and the greater Augusta area on the west side of the state, and really that's the westmost warning we have in our coverage area here in the Carolinas.
I would agree with that, and I'm just because I'm being me. I'm not going to pull up the radar because it'll just take too long to load, but we can sort of assume from the warning boxes that these ones outside of the Nashville area are still continuing, but they have canceled most of the back ends of these
there they go.
thunderstorm polygons.
Yeah, and that's not all too unusual. You'll see the back ends being canceled, and then eventually a new box, and so we'll wait,
right.
I guess, to see whether or not we get that new box. We talked a few minutes ago about amateur radio with the guys on the ground, and in Wilmington so far they're getting no reports of any damage on the ground. So we have new warnings up, new in relatively the last few minutes of kind of that greater Wilmington area, but we are not seeing any additional reports of storm damage, and that's good because I think power crews will be plenty busy trying to get some of those metroplexes like Charlotte back online here, although you can clearly see not all of Charlotte in the dark, although we were knocked offline temporarily earlier this evening. Luckily the lights are still on here, which means my AC is still running.
Well, that is awesome. I've got the national radar up for the Nashville area. That was national radar for the Nashville area. Everything running together here at this 11:40 time. But we can see all these thunderstorms. I'm not sure how to get rid of these little white circles, but those are just general storm center tracks, just an algorithm this program runs. But these are still moving towards the east, and they look like they're almost moving east-southeast of their own tracks. So this is something that we might see miss us as a matter of track versus a matter of intensity.
And speaking of intensity, the greatest area of increasing intensity, I think, is like we were talking about a minute ago, in that Augusta area of Georgia and Aiken, South Carolina, where we do now have a new severe thunderstorm warning. And I'm only mentioning this because we joked before about having some frequent viewers in the Thompson-McDuffie area of Georgia. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Columbia, McDuffie, and Richmond, Georgia until 12:30. What we're looking at here is the southern edge of this big line. But right here kind of is the strongest part and the strongest core of this line, moving through McDuffie County, Georgia, and making its way kind of through that greater Augusta-Aiken area. So that's one of the areas. Matter of fact, that's the only new severe thunderstorm warning we've gotten. Like we were talking about a minute ago, a lot of cancellations of warnings and a lot of cancellations of watches. Last few minutes, the watch being dropped for Cumberland, Johnston, Sampson, and Wayne. Kit, I apologize for the 100th time tonight. I've cut you off, but those storms in Tennessee will be a big part of what we're looking at in our extended forecast. So hopefully, if they don't fall apart before then, they'll fall apart when they hit those mountains.
Well, for like the 99th time, maybe one time I was upset, but for the 99th time, it is completely all right that you cut me off because I was in the middle of a scene change. I was downstairs in the dining room, and I'm headed up to the rec room right now to just have a bit of a scene change and to let my parents have a break from hearing me talk incessantly.
For hearing us ramble for hours on it.
And only hearing 1/3 of a conversation.
Should I cut you off with a new warning then?
Oh, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, it literally just popped up on the screen there. We do now have a new warning. This is or at least the third, for Marlboro, South Carolina, along with Darlington, Dillon, and Florence, again under a severe thunderstorm warning. And if I were to roughly draw this, I think we're talking right in here is the new one. And we'll put this into motion, just kind of give you an idea. And I think we're beginning to see a few storms still popping. Although the good news here in terms of watching the development for future storms, that one of those key things that we watch to see what areas are going to be impacted next. If you've been with us, we've been watching this outflow boundary, the winds out ahead of the storm. It is finally moving out towards the coast. Going to be in Wilmington here in the next few minutes, and then eventually through the kind of Outer Banks and out to sea, which really will help give us the all clear. Ooh, that's way too far back. Out behind the kind of the back edge of these storms. And let me adjust that line a little bit. It's essentially there. That's kind of the back end of the storms for tonight. And then we got the outflow kind of about here. So right in there right now is the active area, and this will continue to slide to the south and to the east. And then that's what Shay was talking about. You know, most likely going to see it in Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, and maybe in Charleston, Shay, if this area right here continues to hold together. And it may. It's the strongest part of the line right now.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of this energy is. It looks like it's been feeding off of that upstream flow, and now we've got it looks like an entire storm line that drapes all the way from what is that, Lancaster, near Chester, and then all the way over to Warrenton. And even further, even just south of Greensboro, Georgia. So that if you can see the entire line that stretches from the northern border up by Pageland all the way across into Georgia, it looks like an entire thunderstorm line is formed and will be advancing towards the coastline tonight. So I would not be surprised if this picks up some steam as it heads down slope.
And one thing I'm trying to do right now is trying to find some sort of way to look and see if there's been, I don't know what kind of boundary to call it, but just some sort of boundary that has set up over really the Midlands and between the Plains and Piedmont of North Carolina. I'm trying to figure out a way to show that, possibly with wind barbs, but I don't know if there's really strong enough surface winds to show changing. Like, I know there's like 25 mile an hour Lumberton wind, but I don't think there's enough data to show much changing.
Yeah, that's the issue you run into, is you can get a lot of observations through even WSV3 or GRE or any of the analysts, and they can sort of paint you a picture, but really a lot of those data points are not good, and you're really reliant on the National Weather Service data points at the airports, and that's kind of what they're going on. So if you can find that boundary, shoot, I might be able to do it through GR Earth. I might be able to put that together. But it may take me a few minutes here. But yeah, that's it's an impressive line coming across South Carolina right now. I'd be interested to see what happens. We could use a little cool off tonight, even though definitely could go without the moisture. One thing that happened this morning, what I thought was really neat, during the inversion, we had this westerly zonal flow to start the morning out, and it was about low teens. And there was a mid-level disturbance aloft, and it looked really more like a short wave as it approached the coastline, a little short wave trough that developed, and then we actually had a little ripple of undulatus asperatus clouding aloft that dropped a singular line of rain, and it was really unique. It was just a very short event, like a curtain sweeping across the area, and it kept temperatures nice and cool this morning until about 11:30 or 12, when that short wave moved to the north, and it really just didn't move all day long. It stayed to the north of Charleston up by Georgetown. It was more of a cloud bank, a mid-level strata bank, but I thought that was really unique, and that's just a sign of some of that Piedmont and inland troughing that gets trapped up in the mid-layers of the atmosphere, and it's not really going anywhere. I looked at the SKU-T and saw the wet column go up to, I think it was about want to say about maybe a little over 500 millibars, or a little under 500 millibars, and then the dry slot was aloft, so it was pinched between a dry slot and the water column below, and it was pretty interesting to see that happen with all this heat and everything going on. So, there again, these pockets of moisture that are sort of trapped around in the heat. Are you guys familiar with triple highs in the southeast for the heat domes?
Sure.
I was gonna say I'm not.
Usually what you get, the northeast Gulf high, then the Bermuda high, and then you have a high up in the Appalachian Mountains, and that pretty much dries everything out. You have 3 high pressures creating an entire heat dome over the entire southeast region, and that would prevent even these kind of storms from occurring. When you have only 2 elements, when you have your majority ridge to the south, that allows these kind of storms to develop at nighttime and keeps that moisture at ground level and up at the mid-layers of the atmosphere. So that's it's pretty unique. I thought that was a pretty unique thing this morning. I think I have some pictures of it on Twitter. Might be able to show. Kind of off the topic from storms, but
You're taking a live look at South Carolina DOT image near Florence. This is Interstate 95 at mile marker 167. It's a little pixelated, but you are seeing some of that lightning flashing up there. And I went in search of a camera because we do have reports of a tree down. A tree is down, Interstate 95, kind of in this Florence area at mile marker 191, which is not this initial vicinity, but we were seeing some lightning and some rain, and clearly something was flashing off to the side of the road. So just popping this up on the screen here while Shay is adjusting screens on his end.
One thing I've got pulled up on WSV3 is, I'll do a quick screen share, but I've got like about a 6.5 hour loop of all of the storms that have come through this afternoon and evening, starting from the other side of Bristol, Tennessee. James, how well are you seeing that on your end?
Mic check. You're coming through great, Kit. I think Shay is frozen, so we'll continue with your presentation.
Yeah. Can you see on my screen here pretty well, the whole loop?
It's a little jumpy, but it's obviously a lot of data rolling through. So we kind of see it in Tennessee, we kind of see it in Charlotte, and then we kind of see it at the coast. But it does give us a general idea, yes.
And it may jump around a little bit easier, and it might fill out here in a little while, but I'll just talk about it while I've got it here. But I can actually show you where I'm looking. We can see up here, yeah, it's not actually doing that. Okay. Anyway, it has spanned nearly the entirety of North Carolina today. It looks like we have had the brunt of the most severe thunderstorm warnings of any of the states that had been affected by this whole system that was across half of the United States, really. We had that slight risk that I believe James was speaking about earlier. We had that slight risk that extended out from, I believe it was all in Colorado up to the Carolinas, and then all the way north into parts of Michigan and Pennsylvania. So a lot of areas affected tonight by heavy rain or heavy winds. We had numerous reports across the Carolinas of winds greater than 40 miles an hour, some even reaching 50 or 60 miles an hour, which was just absolutely incredible. Numerous trees down, a number of potential structures damaged, but we can see in the red highlight all of the widespread areas which were under a severe thunderstorm watch. All of these yellow boxes that pop in and out are every single severe thunderstorm warning. If I were dedicated, I would go through and count how many there were, but there's too many to count easily. I would estimate probably around 100 or so have been issued just within this frame that you're seeing on my screen here. But
are you saying 100 counties?
Oh, easily 100 counties, but I was talking about individual warnings by that number of 100.
I'm not sure. We can certainly get a count. I think the National Weather Service probably has a tally, but I think looking at that watch box is a great story too, because you can see those big red boxes drop off here as the line comes through. Things cool down, and the threat kind of resides for tonight. And I think right now a lot of the activity is moving through Aiken, South Carolina, and Augusta, but also out of the Columbia area and Florence, surrounded by a couple of different warnings right now. Matter of fact, I'm going to pop up another DOT camera in the
All right.
excuse me, in the Florence area, and you can watch. It's obviously it's streaming, it's dark, but you will see some flashes of light that are lightning off in the distance right now. And there's one, matter of fact, as storms kind of come through.
That wasn't much of off in the distance.
No, certainly a nice line of storms right now coming through the Florence area. And I'm going to leave this up on the screen while I update you on some storm reports that the National Weather Service is still working to compile, not only from the active storms, but storms that rolled through earlier in the evening. Chesterfield County, South Carolina, right at the North Carolina line. Multiple trees down, power lines down, right along that border at the town of Chesterfield and the North Carolina line. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings right now, as we mentioned, for Dillon, Florence, and Marion, South Carolina. We have new severe thunderstorm warnings being issued for Clarion and Kershaw and Lee, Richland, and Sumter, South Carolina. That's until 12:15. New storm report in. I think I told you this a few minutes ago, but we are getting reports now of trees down in the Florence area, including on Interstate 95, but also on local roads from storms that are currently moving through the area. We mentioned earlier in the evening the storms came through Fayetteville and the Fort Bragg area. We got a wind gust just in from a reporting station at Fort Bragg, telling us that winds were at least at 1.46 miles per hour or gusting thereabout. So this has been impacting a large portion of the state right now, and the latest being severe thunderstorm warnings being issued in South Carolina for Aiken, Barnwell, and Orangeburg, and in Georgia for Burke, Columbia, McDuffie, and Richland, which is again that kind of that Augusta, Richmond, Aiken County, Aiken areas, metro areas of South Carolina and Georgia, where frankly there's a large severe thunderstorm warning box up now. Matter of fact, if I switch to the radar scope away from the DOT camera, you can see right now we kind of just have, depending on how you count, 1 coming out of the Columbia, 2 into Florence, 3, and then just outside Wilmington, kind of 4 areas of concentration right now, depending on how you count, as this line marches its way across the state and eventually to the coast. I think Shay is back.
Yeah.
I think so. I see you. I hear you.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do all the wind barbs and everything, and put everything together, and then I tried to look at the HR, the HER 3 kilometer to show the wind barbs, and it wasn't initializing properly. So I could show it, but really, Kit, it's not going to show anything different than a northwest wind behind this thunderstorm line, and then behind that the winds sort of disperse. They become a little bit more variable again, and not really seeing anything consistency as far as a frontal boundary, a distinct frontal boundary would be concerned. But really this line is starting to intensify across the Augusta area, just west of Augusta. Like James said, the new warning is extended to the south into McDuffie County, southern Columbia County, northwestern Burke, into east central Georgia, Richmond County, west central Orangeburg, into central South Carolina, central Barnwell, and Aiken County as well. So it's following pretty much down the Savannah River Delta all the way down the coastline. This particular edge of this storm line, and then the ones through Columbia. It looks like Columbia got spared a good bit, but just to the east of Columbia, things have picked up over there as well. So as we get towards Stateburg, Eastover, and Wedgwood, there's a large swampland and river delta area that this is all about to head over, so we could see some additional storm activity pick up where these rivers fork. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, and I've just drawn on the screen a circle, trying to identify best as I can that mesoscale discussion that's just come out from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman.
Yeah, I was
Giving
just
about
pulling that up to read it.
about a 40% chance here of seeing a severe thunderstorm watch extended to include the rest of the central parts of the state here, and also down to the coast, which would include you, Shay, Charleston. And because at one point we were debating on whether or not this line would get to Charleston, and the National Weather Service is looking at that right now in real time. The watch already includes, I believe, portions of Myrtle Beach and then Wilmington, North Carolina, where the storms will be impacting in the next few minutes. But over the course of the next hour or so, they're looking at extending the severe thunderstorm watch box to include portions like Statesboro, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head Island, Charleston, South Carolina, to match up with the rest of the watch box to the north.
Interestingly enough, there is still a severe thunderstorm watch box out for Chester County, South Carolina, which most of the stuff around, I think someone just missed a county in canceling it, but on my screen I have a severe thunderstorm watch out for Chester County, South Carolina.
It's just one warning, one watch, excuse me.
It's just a watch box still for.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's
one county.
Warning, but you're right. It's a red box, which is the representation of your watches. And
I've got one up from the National Weather Service SPC for the southeastern South Carolina, or actually most of coastal South Carolina. I don't know if you can see it on my.
We'll give it a shot, Shay. I'm not sure we're seeing video from you right now. We may just be getting audio. Let's take a peek in and see.
All right, how are we doing now? Better?
I see your face.
Okay. All right, let's try this again. All right, so here we go. So here's the watch box that the SPC has drawn, and this is the severe potential. So we're looking at, pretty much most of coastal South Carolina all the way down to Tybee. It looks like Savannah, Tybee Island, Georgia, extending over to the Augusta area and back around. So that's what the latest is from the SPC. They're already circling our areas, Charleston included, for the entire coastal community for southern South Carolina all the way down.
We have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Actually, this is the one that's been already on the books and is continuing now for Dillon and Marion, South Carolina, and also Columbus and Robinson, North Carolina. We were talking a little bit about the Augusta area, McDuffie County, and the greater Augusta, Georgia area getting nickel-sized hail in the town of Thompson. And so we are continuing to see pretty strong storms there, and you can see them on the left side of your screen. Is Augusta, Richmond County, and that's where some of those storms are moving right now. But we had a moment here where I thought maybe these storms are going to call it a night, but I think they're beginning to feed off of some of that heat that's out there, and still going to continue to rumble towards the coastline.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pull up some. Let's see here, where would that be?
James, did you say they were reporting hail?
Yeah, we got hail in McDuffie County, Georgia, nickel size, town of Thompson.
Okay.
Are you seeing that?
I'm not seeing anything in hydrometeor classification. Let me look at. Well, the VIL definitely shows some signature for hail. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Looking at WSV3 here, and just now thinking of it, I'm not sure if I have the license for broadcast for this, so we'll just pass right over that real quick. But
we're not seeing any video from you right now, so that's probably good.
Yeah, okay. Showing 79 in the 70s for kgs in the vertically integrated liquid over that area. So definitely, if you're in Harlem, just to the southeast of Thompson, be on the lookout for hail for sure.
Yeah, and I'm actually bringing it up on my radar scope right now. You can see those colors on your screen where we're talking about some of this hail, and police on the ground have confirmed that they're seeing at least nickel-sized hail in the town of Thompson, which is right back on in here as the storm continues to push to the south and east, just over the South Carolina line into Georgia.
So this would be the first actual hail signature witnessed on the ground from these systems tonight. Is that correct?
I believe we did have some hail earlier. Let me see if it was on the ground or if it was.
There were reports in northern Gaston County of 1.5 and 1 inch hail. Those may have been just estimates, but I did see those reports come in from around the Stanley area, I believe.
Gotcha. Hail signature in Harlem right now, 1.23 inches. So there's some evidence of hail reaching the ground at least 1 inch.
Pulling up
One
storm
thing I'm
reports
looking
right
at, while James is pulling that up, I'm looking at temperatures in the sort of the southern tip of, or the southern region of South Carolina. Temperatures are still showing 88 degrees, 84 degrees. Charleston, it's still 88 out there, it looks like. South of Macon, Georgia, it's 90 degrees. If I look at the dew points, I mean, it's 72, 75, 73, 77 just inland from Charleston. So there's still a good bit of moisture out there and enough heat that we could still see some convection pop up ahead of these Augusta and Thompson storms.
I'm telling you,
If those
yeah.
things,
87.7
start to make
degrees
their
at
own.
Tybee Island. Sorry, Kit, I'm just giving you some readings here. Beaufort, South Carolina, 87.7. Tybee Island, 87.7. Folly Beach. This is at the beach on a southwest 17-knot wind. I'm sorry, 15-knot wind, and that's 86.4 degrees. So the water temperatures here along the coast are 86 to 89 degrees. You go 86 for Charleston down to 87 as you get into Tybee Island, and then actually it's 89 a little further down Georgia, but not much relief along the coast even at nighttime because the water temperatures are keeping it in the mid-80s.
Right. And it just from what it looks like, if any of these storms, if they do eventually die out, and like I'm looking right here towards the city of Jackson and New Ellenton, it's got a little bit of an outflow boundary already on it. So, I mean, like we've seen already a couple of different places tonight, we could see a few pop-ups. Now, I don't think any of the ones that formed solely off of an outflow boundary, I don't think any of those went severe, which I think, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I think typically you'll need a little bit more daytime heating for just an outflow boundary to set off a new severe thunderstorm, but there are exceptions to that. I will grant that bit of information there. But we could see, anyway, down towards Hampton, Allendale, Waterboro, on out towards Charleston, some new storms fire if even these that we're seeing here right now, if those die out.
And I think that's right. I think these Savannah River storms along the Georgia-South Carolina line are really intensifying. And so that's going to bring into play, depending on what the storm's doing, if they hold together Savannah, Georgia, Hilton and Island, and maybe even up towards Charleston if we get the line at the right angle here.
Right.
A new report in from Thompson, McDuffie County. We have a tree down on a power line in Thompson, and you know this is the Georgia side and this is the Carolina weather group, but it's right there on the border, and these storms could easily go one way or the other, and they're all under the same severe thunderstorm warning. And so we're going to continue to kind of keep an eye on this. Also getting reports of a gust front just coming through Wilmington, 48 miles per hour or so on a rooftop sensor, although we haven't gotten a whole lot of reports out of Wilmington. That's really one of the only reports we've gotten in from the Wilmington area. So that's I guess potentially some good news here is that this northern edge of the storms is almost dropping off. In the next few minutes, for the most part, I think North Carolina is going to be in the clear, and it's going to be the South Carolina and the Georgia border we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Although, as I said that, we get a new severe thunderstorm warning for North Carolina, Brunswick, Columbus, New Hanover, and Pender, kind of right there on the line with South Carolina, because this is also including the county of Haroy. Is that how you say that, Shay?
You got me.
All right. I'm just going to go with it and sound confident.
Sure. Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see which place you're looking at here.
Yeah, James, I'm going to take a quick peek at Wilmington. I'm trying to tweet out for Charleston that some hail, about the hail in the Augusta area, and those cells heading this way.
Yeah, and I mean, sure. I guess a lot could happen between now and then, because it's still got quite a distance to go. But
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's
Oh, I just got it.
you, you know, when we start to report storms that could be affecting you, we look upstream and we say, okay, what sort of characteristics are they holding there that they could have here? And so wasn't seeing those hail signatures earlier. Now we are. It's kind of like, well, okay, probably need to slide that in there rather than just high winds, maybe possible small hail.
Hmm. And I see that warning now. I would maybe pronounce that as Horry County.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
that's right, Horry County.
Okay, okay.
It's okay to say that word in this instance.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it looks like oops, there we go. Okay. Um, looks like Wilmington finally will get in on a little bit of the action this evening, and just that whole Brunswick County uh, area. We weren't sure if it was gonna fire off or not, but finally did. It looks like. Try and get onto the Wilmington radar site. Can we really call that Wilmington though? Because it's outside of Charlotte.
beats me.
I mean, how many miles is that from Wilmington? That's pretty good ways. Because just from Oak Island to Charlotte is, or really Charlotte to Holden Beach is about 10. So if I just walk that out with my fingers, that's about 40 to 50 miles outside of Wilmington. This is an interesting freeze frame because we've got this outflow boundary here, but then it also sort of mirrors the coastline, so it looks like it might be a coastal frontal boundary. So, but
James, where did
looping.
you say that hail was reported at in Georgia? You remember? Said Thompson?
Yeah, I think that was in Thompson.
Yeah, in fact, there's the report right there. I'm seeing it in, got it. It says 0.75, 0.75
Yeah, I see
inches.
that too.
Yep.
I'm looking at that too.
Or 0.88. Yep.
That might be radar indicated.
Yeah,
It
that's
says
true.
0.88. Yeah, Thompson and McDuffie, Georgia County. Um, Public in the 911 center reported P to nickel-sized hail around the town of Thompson. That's what I've got here. Yeah, for what I see here on the GR, it says magnitude E 0.88. So I'm guessing that's an estimated 0.88 inches.
That's right.
Is what that's trying to say there.
I think my main angle was just trying to find the town and where it was reported. You know, the GR Earth always shows some estimates of potential hail that I think it overestimates reaching the ground.
Yeah, and this is showing um, outside of Sumter, South Carolina. Radar indicated 2.23 inch size hail.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hesitant, just looking at the radar reflectivity return on it alone, I'm hesitant to catch that. And I'm I'm looking at the vertically integrated liquid, and just around that storm itself, like there's 36 and then 20, but then there's two returns that show 71.8 and 79.3, which is right
Yeah,
at the very high end of just my color table.
yeah. That's a
I'm thinking that
solid.
might
That's a solid core
erode.
there.
I'm thinking it's just a bad return though, even though it's on two uh, adjacent scans. I'm doubtful because just looking at the reflectivity alone, there's nothing to show that. We go up to higher scans. I mean, yeah, you sort of get a little bit of that purple, but I'm calling bad radar return on that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. You're probably looking at the KCL radar there.
I'm actually looking at LTX from Wilmington. Let's see what the Columbia radar says. Mulberry.
I think
Wonder if
James
they
stepped
have
away
bushes
for a
there.
little bit, and I'm probably
Alright.
going to have to hop off here in just a little bit myself.
Alright,
How long have we
I'll
been
keep it
live for
running.
now, Kit?
Oh, I don't know. I think it came through about 8 o'clock, so we're running right up 4 hours for Carolina Weather Group live streaming all these storms coming through the Carolinas.
Let's see what happens with these ones out to our west from Charleston.
Mhm. Yeah, those are the ones to keep the eye on, I think, for the remainder of the evening. Yes, we do have the ones in North Carolina still. I think I'm still sharing my screen here.
I didn't have to be up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning for forecasting. It'd be all about hanging out all the way through.
In South Carolina. So, but that's just like a tiny little portion of Horry County there. Still have a little bit of severe thunderstorm warning for the county in which Topsail Beach belongs to. And we've got a number of uh, marine warnings for these storms as they head off the coast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We now have severe thunderstorm warnings for southwestern Pender, southeastern Bladen County, central Columbus County, Brunswick County, New Hanover, and east central Horry County, northeastern South Carolina. I think you read those off earlier. Nothing's changed over to the south and the west in South Carolina as this line continues to head towards the coast. So I assume Orangeburg, which has not been brought into this, all of Orangeburg should soon be brought in. I'm surprised it hasn't. The line is bearing down on them right now. But I assume we get it in the next hour. I'm assuming we'll get into St. George, Ridgeville, and Somerville, and then start closing in on the coastline. And Kit has frozen up. So we are still live streaming, looking at the storm line heading for the South Carolina coastal community, also looking at the storms that are up in the southeastern North Carolina region, looking at GRE on radar. It looks like most of these storms have moved off of the Morehead City area. There's some additional thunderstorm activity moving across from the west as we head down towards Surf City. Looks like storm activity is picking up from the west, moving across, and then as we get down into Horry County, South Carolina, storms approaching there as well. And then the storm line picks up from Kershaw and Hartsville all the way over to Georgia and over to Augusta, and all of this is all heading down towards the coastal South Carolina region. So that is the gist of what's going on right now for the live streaming for storming in the southeast region. So let's take a look. I'm just going to switch screens here. I'm going to share my screen to what is going on for GRE.
I'm looking at something on just it's more just a matter of radar artifact. It's not really anything storm-wise, but I'm looking at what's called running rabbits, I think. See on just the radar here, we've got lots of areas of green and then nothing, green, nothing, green, nothing. And I think someone else might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think someone corrected me in the past about this. What's happening is up here at the Morehead City radar, it's sending out a beam to the south and west towards like Wilmington and Charleston, and then each of those are also scanning to their north and east, and it's sort of running back and forth, and it sees the other radar beam as its own and it sort of interferes a little bit. And so we can see even a few coming from the Daytona Beach area, a few radar returns coming in there. Again, that's not really anything severe or whatever, but just a radar artifact that's kind of cool to look at.
Interesting. Well, Kit, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. I don't know how much later you and James said he might be coming back on here in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and hop off now. I've got to be up very early in the morning for forecasting, and then I've got my kids all day, so I want to make sure I get some sleep, or else they're gonna wear me out too early. But you have a good night. Keep an eye on these, and I think we'll be all right. It's been fun covering these storms with you tonight, and
yeah, definitely.
Luckily, we haven't heard of anything popping up on the Twitter feed of any injuries. Just some trees down, power outages. Continue to watch these storms tonight for hail and any possible. I always think coastal rotations for any kind of water spouts, even though we won't see them, it still might be interesting to see on on radar return. But until then, Kit,
I'm monitoring out towards Morehead City for those.
I'm sorry?
I'm looking out towards Morehead City for any of those water spouts to come out. Yeah,
with those varying winds, sometimes it's too much. Water spouts tend to do better with lighter winds, but if you have enough, you can get a large spout like you see in Florida, where you have one inflow from the south or the southwest cranking at 20 knots, and then you get this northerly flow, and then it spins up right as it enters off of the coastline. So it's not very common here. It's not as common here as it is in Florida, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially when you move offshore. You can catch some rotations from the Wilmington radar site. That one goes out pretty far. But good luck, and I will see you soon, if not before Wednesday.
Well, I'm not sure if we are still live. Yes, we are. Okay. Well, since we are still live, I'll continue to ramble on here for a little bit. Then I might just go ahead and leave it to James to pull it back up, sign off on anything else, and mention anything else that is new in development. But for whomever is still watching, I'll just go ahead and give a quick update. It is 12:20 a.m. on Saturday, the 9th of July, 2016. Just figured I might as well go ahead and give the full date while I was doing that. But right now, let me see if I can pull up the radar. Here we go. So what we've got here is we still have this thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning for the counties of in Georgia. We have McDuffie County, Columbia County, Burke County, and Richmond County in Georgia. And then in South Carolina, we have Orangeburg County, Central Barnwell County, and Aiken County. Again, those are the ones in South Carolina. For these storms that came through Augusta earlier, they are still being continued as severe thunderstorms as they head out towards the coastline. They're headed down the the slope of the land and catching a little bit of momentum to them. Looks like they might be moving a little bit faster as they head down towards the coastline. These storms could eventually reach the Charleston area. They may or may not be severe, but that is something I am still monitoring, as James has stepped out to, I believe he went to go walk his dog for the evening. But we've got still a few more here in the Midlands of South Carolina. This looks like a new warning for Calhoun, Richland, Lee County. No, this is an older one. This was at 12:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this is still relatively new thunderstorm warning, but this is out until 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have the severe hazards are 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and this is radar indicated. We don't have any storm reports coming in just yet from this storm moving through Sumter, South Carolina right now. But this could produce some heavy damaging winds to these areas that we've got coming up. One thing I do want to mention is that the SBC still has most of South Carolina under a slight chance for severe thunderstorms right now. I'm trying to pull up the convective outlook, and this is something that we've shown a couple of times, but for the most part, the slight risk, it looks like, again, that's level 2 of 5 for severe thunderstorm potential. For the most part, it seems that the ones that are up here in Florence and Sumter, South Carolina, those are still in the slight risk, but we do still have a marginal risk to the south of that, and that's where we're seeing these storms in the Augusta area continue to fire. Give me 1 second. So with this, we've got still waiting on the Storm Prediction Center to see if they're going to issue their final watch for the lower portions of South Carolina and eastern and northeastern Georgia, really central eastern Georgia, for the evening. Try to see if they're going to issue that severe thunderstorm watch, which probably won't be until the next half hour if they do, just because of the nature of these storms, where they are headed, and the timing. Trying to see the temperatures across the area are still pretty high. They're still in the mid to upper 80s right now. Looks like Allendale, just north of that, still has 88 degrees. Beaufort, South Carolina is showing 84, and Dew Point's still well into the mid-70s, which is providing plenty of moisture for all of these storms to continue to fire. One of the things with these storms, like, I'm going to loop this, as it heads out, and we have these, we can see right along this outflow boundary that sort of forms around this general area. Let's see if I can. You see it forming these new storms out ahead of it, right there along the outflow boundary. So that's what we're looking at for places like Allendale, Hampton, Walterboro. All these places through here are still showing plenty of fuel for these storms to go ahead and just fire off. One thing I'm going to try to do is see if I can find a way to look for a direct layout of the Cape that's still available for these storms to fire off, and I might be able to pull up on the Storm Prediction Center site. Let's see, one of the things I like on the Prediction Center site is have Google Chrome is not responding. Not even sure if I'm still on. Am I still on? I believe I am. Well, that's great. Okay. Well, sorry about that. I just was trying to make sure that I was still working with all of my setup here. The 4 hours of use has sort of made it a little full this evening. Let's see here, mesoanalysis. That's what I want. So one of the things I can do up here is if I click on a purple box, I don't think I'm looking at the right Gibson Ridge pulled up, but I will pull open this in a new tab. I can, hello, I can screen share this new tab that I have pulled open for the hourly mesoscale analysis, which has a lot of really cool products in it. One thing that I want to pull up is the surface-based CAPE. It's a thermodynamic tool that we use that defines that thunderstorm fuel that we're looking at. And one place I'm looking now is in the Charlotte region. You can see there's a lot of blue lines with negative values, and those show that we have cap inversion over the area. So that's going to prevent more storms from firing. Down across the area of Charleston, we can see lots and lots of CAPE is still available as it reloads here out. We've got areas with over 1,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE, which is a lot of rambling for just saying there's still high potential for thunderstorms to grow and grow rapidly. There's still a little bit of a cap, but these storms, since they have their outflow boundaries and have already convection firing there, we could still see some of those storms fire over the lowlands of South Carolina. I'm not even sure if that's a proper term for that area. One thing we're going to look up now is a little bit of the downdraft CAPE, which just means that that's what we have for a microburst, what we saw in the upstate of South Carolina earlier today. With this circle of 1,200 here, that just means that we could have heavy, fast winds fall down to the ground really quickly. So that might be of concern and might be a reason for the National Weather Service to continue these severe thunderstorm warnings as they continue to progress towards the coastline. Let's see here. One of the things I wish the Hangouts would let me do would be just to let me share or switch between things a lot more easily, because I'm trying to share the radar here. What we've got is we have a continued warning for the Midlands of South Carolina. We've got severe thunderstorms warning in Georgia, continued for McDuffie County, Burke County, Richmond County, and those are until 1:15 a.m. And then in South Carolina we have added on continued for Orangeburg County and added on Barnwell, Bamberg, and Southern Aiken County, again until 1:15 a.m. These are storms that are still producing some radar indicated hail. We see that last warning has just been canceled over the area. It's good because we had those overlapping severe thunderstorm warning areas there. We can see here we've got radar indicated hail size of 1.13 inches. If that makes it to the ground, that would probably only be about dime to nickel size hail, if even that. But we have a few other places where we have larger hail indicated on the radar. again, with it being so far from the radar, that could be slightly off, but I mean, overall, the Midlands of South Carolina still have this long chain of thunderstorms that are just continuing. Looks like St. Matthews has avoided being warned from any severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's see, what county is that? Calhoun. Calhoun County is not under a severe thunderstorm warning. But almost everywhere else, from White Knoll, North Carolina, all the way through Waynesboro, Georgia, is under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. We can just take a look at all this, and we see that we've got a lot of people still in the way of these thunderstorms, but they might disperse through the evening. They might taper down a little bit. I'm still not seeing any real reports, but that might be due to the lateness of the hour. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's looking like we might still see a few of those thunderstorms continue. If not severe, continue being fairly strong as they head on towards the Charleston and Hilton Head Island area. They're just continuing right down this Savannah River Valley, marching their way onto the coast.
Hey, Kit, thanks for keeping things going. It looks like we still got a number of warnings kind of marching across South Carolina.
Yes, so this severe thunderstorm warning here has been continued for most of these counties around here. We've continued it down a bit further. Let's see if I can get it all the way out here in freeze frame. There we go. We've got Bamberg, Barnwell, and Orangeburg counties in South Carolina that it has been continued into. I looked at the SPC mesoanalysis, and there's still quite a good amount of Cape down towards Charleston, and off the coast there was an area of around 4,000 joules of Cape. So it looks like these thunderstorms will still continue to be severe as they march towards the coast.
Well, I know we are beginning to pull into the wee hours of the evening, and you've carried us through here the last few minutes. I invite folks to subscribe to our YouTube channel so they can stay up to date on severe weather happenings, but also on our weekly Wednesday night show. We have a great show coming up for you Wednesday. We will be getting together with another weather show and kind of exchanging ideas and having a great big conversation. So if you like the ramblings of the Carolina Weather Group, you'll like the ramblings of the Carolina Weather Group plus the Weather Junkies. So that's coming up Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't mean to cut you off at all, kid. If you want to keep on trucking with this, otherwise, I think what I'll do is I'm just going to leave radar up here on the screen for the next little bit. I will be around, but in the name of transparency, there's this nice place of pasta here. So
that is completely all right with me. I think I might go ahead and turn in for the night. Shay departed from us earlier, and of course, right when we were saying our goodbyes, my internet cut out. So I had to send him a quick message, and I was like, there you go, I'll see you.
I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave radar up on the screen for the next few minutes for folks who are still wanting to track this as it continues through the low country of South Carolina and eventually to Shay's neck of the woods. Do hope you follow us on social media for all sorts of great weather discussion related specifically to North and South Carolina. And if you've been watching us on a mobile device tonight because you don't have power, hopefully your power comes back very soon.
And don't know if you still have that up, but I wouldn't be surprised if still many people across North and South Carolina are still without power. I will say, if you are watching on a mobile device, be patient. If you are watching on a mobile device, it's probably pretty hot and probably running out of power on the battery.
But it needs a little USB charger sticks.
Right. I
154,000 Duke Energy customers between the two states. 154,000 Duke Energy customers still without power. Most of them in the Charlotte area, where the number in the Charlotte area has dropped to 37,000. So they're getting people back online.
That is good. So they are working, I'm sure, tirelessly, but pretty tiredly through the evening and morning hours to get all of their customers back online.
Yeah,
it's a good thing that it happened overnight and in places where they are without power. I'm looking at surface observations, and the temperatures are in the low 70s. Dew points also in the low 70s, so it's a little bit muggy out there, but it is cool and it's not in humid today, so we can be thankful for that these didn't come through midday, and then still we had 80, 90 degrees outside with people without power whatsoever.
Absolutely. Well, stay weather aware tonight, this weekend, and throughout the entire season. Make sure you've got backup batteries in your NOAA weather radio, and make sure you keep those cell phones charged and tuned right into the Carolina Weather Group. We will leave you tonight with some continuous look at these storms on radar, and we'll be back anytime situations warrant.
I'll have a good one. Stay safe out there.